disclaimer.
Yeah, they just don't always put it in the voiceover, which is a shame.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they put it in the script. They have little writings on there.
Think of the entertainment value.
Leakage is not the thing that's going to, make you drop dead.
Oh, it may not get
fright. Oh my God!
It may not get you laid either. It's not. It's not good stuff.
If you're taking any of those drugs, you're not getting laid.
That's what the little pink pill is for.
That thing's a big flop,
Yeah, I heard it sold almost nothing.
Yes, in fact, it's pretty much what it sold.
Almost nothing.
Considered they lost more money in the marketing. They have yet to make a profit on that thing. Nobody's interested.
Really?
Women don't need such things. They can just lay back and pretend.
Oh, John. I have to say, our Thanksgiving Day special, the No Agenda Funnies, 776.5, was a hoot even after the third time.
You listened to it 3 times?
Yeah, well, you, my friend, you're funny.
I'm hilarious.
You are. Yeah, there's nothing like the story of you trying to pick up the girl on the motorcycle when your face is frozen. Yeah, that's a favorite.
It's a fact.
The No Agenda Kids is a favorite. There's just a lot of favorites in there. It's very, very good. Of course, not representative of the best podcasting universe in our normal deconstructive mode, which is, I think, what we have.
Those are all tidbits that just show up in the show. The percentage of humor in a typical No Agenda show is probably 5% max. Maybe less.
Probably less. I'd say it's less than that.
1%.
Yeah. But when we bring it.
One funny thing in each show.
When we bring it.
Maybe.
We bring it, don't we?
Well, if you put it all together in one show, it's pretty obvious that we
look at that juice. The juice that comes out. My hand is dripping wet here because I have nothing but juice.
Yeah, there's a new one. There's a new juice.
That guy up to.
There's a new juice on the horizon.
Wow.
I think you.
I don't want to know that guy.
I think somehow you got onto a trend.
Oh my gosh! Can you see that juice?
I'm telling you, the juice is loose, baby.
I think it's because food is dry nowadays.
Hey,
it's wishful thinking.
How was Thanksgiving? How was the food? You did a heritage bird, right?
I did a heritage bird, a Narragansett. A 10-pound Narragansett farmed by a woman in Port Orchard or Port Gamble or some little town. And it was interesting because I did it the night before. We did our Thanksgiving, Mimi and I, on Wednesday.
Oh, that's un-American.
No, we also had the same meal the next day.
That's called leftovers.
Well, not the way I did it. Okay. It was a completely different meal, but it was the same. But what it allowed me to do was to test cook the bird. And what I discovered, and I guess I didn't really, I've been cooking these heritage birds wrong now, and that's why I didn't have a recipe, because I always do it differently. And you really do have to follow if you read all the literature, and my daughter read all the literature, including stuff that I didn't read, and she sent me some, but we went back and forth. And it turns out that these birds cook up a lot faster than even the literature does if you cook them correctly. You cook them extremely high temperatures. You start at like 500 or 550.
Oh, yes. Oh, my oven doesn't even go to that.
Well, whatever it goes to, max it out.
375.
And you throw that baby in there for about, 45 minutes to an hour. It's almost done now, but pull down the temperature to like 400 to 450.
Now, do you have to put a foil hat on it when you do this? Yeah, I think you would.
Well, they want you to use oiled parchment. And everyone says oiled parchment. Well, if you do it the way the instructions are, the oiled parchment catches on fire. And so that's you don't want. It doesn't really catch on fire, but it turns into like an ash. It turns black. It's horrible. So the bird that was supposed to cook for 2.5 hours was done in my process in hour 50.
Huh.
It's a 10-pounder. And
that's hardly a turkey, man. 10-pounder.
It's a turkey.
Yeah.
It's turkey. The other birds are those crazy giant monsters with the big breasts that can't stand up. Those are freaks. So anyway, the 10-pounder, the heritage birds are never going to be very big, but this 10-pounder was cooked in hour 50. And then so I warned the kids, because Eric was cooking a very similar bird, almost the same, in fact, the sister of this one. And Jay was cooking a bird and it was, I think, about 11 pounds, maybe.
And these were sisters, you say? Were they?
Well, the one that I had and the one that Eric had was from the same farm.
Separated at birth. Good.
Well, the heads were gone, so who knows?
And her head is gone.
Look at the heads. Oh, they're very similar looking. So we warned everybody, and so everyone had a perfect turkey, because it was like everyone was saying 2.5 hours would have turned the thing to a smoldering block of charcoal. Anyway, that's what you meant. It was good. It wasn't overcooked.
Yeah, I made the sweet potatoes.
Yes.
Yep. Great job. I used the heavy cream, as you suggested. It was great.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the heavy cream, I think, is better than you were using yogurt or something.
Yeah, the heavy cream was good. And my stovetop turned out perfect. Beautiful. And passed it right off. Slaved over it. Anyway, I always, it's always difficult. You come back after a week. I wasn't really able to check out 100%. I don't know if you were. It's so complicated. We had all these things happen.
Yes, there was a number of events. Including the crazy shooting by a total nut job. I mean, if you look at this guy, I mean, this is where's the NSA when we need them? So this guy, and then you get all these little racial comments coming out of the woodwork on Twitter.
Now you're talking about this the shooting in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, at the Planned Parenthood office.
And just before we start off, this guy, I mean, he pretty much has the setup I'm thinking of putting together. You got the trailer, you got the compound, you know.
Exactly, that's you.
He had an RV and
said, "This is you in 10 years."
Yeah. Well, he seemed pretty nice. He was handing out anti-Obama pamphlets. Otherwise, you know, Curry seemed like a pretty good guy. Which was kind of peculiar
since Obama had been out of office for 10 years.
Yeah. But, yeah. Okay, I didn't do too much with this story.
Oh, I just have the original rundown that came out on PBS is worth playing, because if you think of it as somehow, this seems to me to be like if you wanted a perfect script for Obama to come out and say enough's enough.
Yeah,
you know, so you say,
which is pretty much what he said.
Lunatic.
He said this is not normal, I think was his exact quote.
Yeah, something. And he said, you know, we can't put it, you know, Obama really does have it on his checklist to do something about gun violence, even though it's not going to help anything in Chicago.
Well, I'll tell you, Facebook lost its collective crap over this. I mean, and people, again, it's so disheartening. People who I know very well, you know, like, time for the president to ban all guns.
Time for the president, the hair Obama.
Yeah.
Time for our monarch.
This is and I don't understand how people can even think that will happen ever. You know,
you should put up a little small web page about the Second Amendment.
No, I need to get invited to these parties. I don't want to be banned up front.
Well, no, it would be an anonymous little website that says repeal the Second Amendment, and then point people to it and have a bunch of really screwball arguments, you know, stuff that's just nuts, and put it on the website, and then just leave it there as a standalone, not an active site, just kind of a brochure. And then say, well, if you feel that way, go here, and just point them to that. But if you won't do it, I will.
Okay.
Right after I finish my 2 books. So here's the Planned Parenthood scene. And now if you think of the thing as like as a setup to find some nutcase and send him over to what he looks like, and send him over to shoot up the place. Think of it as a scenario, a play, a script with actors, and then substitute when the policewoman says the word scene, think of it as a Broadway play.
A gunman is holed up inside a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs tonight, wounding multiple people and engaging in gun battles with police. Police said they are trying to evacuate as many people from the building as they can. They haven't yet identified the suspect. Lieutenant Catherine Buckley with the Colorado Springs Police Department briefed reporters a short time ago.
There are an unknown amount of casualties at this point. We know that this scene is going to be going on for the next several hours because there are items that the suspect took with him to the Planned Parenthood building that we have to check out once the scene is stabilized. This is not a stabilized scene at this time.
You know, what I read, and all the headlines screamed, you know, crazy guy, Planned Parenthood shooting. And then somewhere around the second or third paragraph, New York Times, Washington Post, everything, Guardian, it would say, well, it's unclear what his motive was or where he really started shooting. It appears he may have started shooting out near the bank and across the parking lot. But because some unnamed law enforcement officer, unnamed source, claims that he heard the guy mutter something about baby parts when they were arresting him. Therefore, it's obvious what happened. And at this point, what difference does it make? No one will care about the truth anymore. It's done. The people check out of these stories.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
They make their quick generalization, they're done.
Yeah.
And then you have the little racial comments that start showing up. If he was black, they would have gunned him down.
Oh, that was very strange. But
I caught a professor at one of the colleges, some Asian guy saying
they're
that.
The worst.
I called him out on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
He said, "Oh boy, that's a racist, shameful."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can yell racist at anybody if you want to start playing that game.
Well, it's the same. I considered, in fact, I caught myself actually going to look for the thread on Facebook with my professor. When we were talking about Clock Boy, I'm like, oh, this would have never happened. His name was Todd or Tim or John and not Ahmed. And now this little douche knuckle boy is suing for $15 million. And I'm like, I got to post that. I got to post it on these a-holes Facebook timeline. And I gave up on it. But
really, just give up.
What do you? I mean, what do you want to say about that? It's like, is this, if the guy was named Tim or John or Jeff, would he be suing for $15 million? And probably not.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, there's one thing that went on during the week that we didn't discuss because we didn't do a show on Thursday is protests everywhere.
Yeah, I have.
It's like this was protest week.
Hold on, I have. What is it? It's not just in the U.S. actually.
No,
it's happening everywhere, which I like. I like protest week, but I see a lot of very professionally made signs.
And they're all professionally made. There was protests in London.
Much, yeah.
There are protests in London over the bomb. The Cameron wants to bomb Syria because it's like they've got a bunch of extra bombs. They don't know quite what to do with them, and so they think they can just drop them over there, and that gets rid of them. It's like a recycling program. And so the protests are going on in London. Tons of them with people holding up these "Don't Bomb Syria" signs, which have obviously been printed by the same people because there's thousands of this exact same sign.
Here, I have a clip.
Just kind of getting to be a giveaway.
I have a clip.
Making their voices heard as Britain weighs up whether to take military action against ISIL in Syria. Anti-war activists have taken to the streets of London to reject any extension of airstrikes already underway in Iraq. The government wants a green light from MPs as early as next week.
Well, we're very much opposed to David Cameron's plans to have a vote in Parliament to bomb Syria. The bombing has already been going on for more than a year by other forces. At the moment, Syria is being bombed by the two biggest military powers in the world, the United States and Russia.
Despite his casual look, this is a tense time for Labour opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn, for while the veteran left-winger is personally opposed to bombing, his parliamentary party is deeply divided. Spain has no immediate plans to get involved in airstrikes, but pacifist protesters in Madrid are also determined to have their say, with less than a month to go before the country's general election.
Yes,
exactly.
So that's going on there.
Well, and did you see this kid, the stare down kid, I'm calling him, who in Chicago?
Oh, that went against the cop?
Yeah, but this guy is a professional. He has all. There was some research done on him that I stumbled across, and he seems to be very cozy, hanging out with the teachers union a lot, with the president of the teachers union, with the vice president of the teachers union.
He's a professional stare down
artist. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good catch.
Yeah. Here's Megyn Kelly on him.
Just want to jump in as we're seeing an extraordinary moment. Look what's happening here.
Well, listen, you're going to have guys like this, they want to instigate, they want to create a...
What is he instigating, Bernie? I'm sorry, I've got to interrupt.
Richard, look at him. This is a cop out there accused of doing nothing wrong, trying to keep the peace.
Having a silent protest with his police officer.
He gets right in his face and stares him down. This cop hasn't done anything wrong.
That is his First Amendment right, Megan. And you, out of all people, Megan, believe in protecting. This is his First Amendment right. I don't understand.
You think that's fine? You have no problem with this?
This is his First Amendment right. The biggest problem here is...
It's not a question of what his constitutional rights are. It's a question of what's appropriate.
His name is Lamont Record, R-A-C-C-O-R-D.
Well, for police that listen to the show, I have a concept, because this could happen to anybody, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But I would say that if you could carry one clove of garlic in your
just pop that into your face and breathe back.
Start chewing it, and then it burns a little bit, but you can get milder garlics. Yeah. And then just kind of puff right.
Could you please?
The guy will back off.
We'd like to know what kind of milder garlic. Do you have a brand name that we can?
I don't know. There's just different varieties of garlic. You can find everywhere you go, there's somebody that's a garlic nut that grows garlic, and they have all these different varieties you can get. You want to get one that doesn't burn too much, but still has a stench, and then you can chew on it, and then I guarantee the guy'd back off. Garlic breath is one of the worst things to really be close to. Oh, and of course, you exude the stench.
I was going to say, if you take it way in advance, it'll just exude through all your pores, and
but it's not quite the same as coming out of your breath as this guy standing 1 inch from you.
John, your crowd tactics are noteworthy, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, noteworthy. So this guy is a paid shill, and what's disappointing, of course, is that no one is doing any research into the guy. And look at him; he's media friendly. He looks great. He's he's doing everything very, very well, but he is the technical term would be an agent provocateur.
Yes. Well, I have a couple of clips, because Chicago this was over an event that took place over a year ago, and then play this protesters in Chicago odd clip.
Thousands of protesters marched through Chicago's rainy retail district today, voicing their anger against the shooting death of a black teenager by a Chicago policeman last year. The Magnificent Mile on Chicago's Michigan Avenue the day after Thanksgiving, usually filled with holiday shoppers, today flooded with protesters. Thousands marched along the main artery, while others blocked store entrances to take part in so-called Blackout Friday. Their goal, to shut down the busy retail district to protest the shooting death of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald.
We have to come together, and it's power and impact when you touch the economy, and that's what we're trying to do.
The police are murdering people in the city with no repercussions. They can't do that. You charge one officer, and there's hundreds of other children dead with no charges.
Today's demonstrations are the latest since the city's police department released video Tuesday night of the shooting. It showed Officer Jason Van Dyke, who is white, firing at McDonald, who was black, 16 times. Most struck him while he was on the ground. McDonald, who was holding a knife, had allegedly punctured the tires of a police car. Prior to the video's release, Van Dyke was charged with first-degree murder. But today, many, including the Reverend Jesse Jackson, one of the event's organizers, said protests will continue.
Yeah, when Jesse Jackson shows up, there's a scam going on.
Yeah, it's extortion. Now, let's go over a couple of points here. One, the guy was charged with murder. It was a year ago. Well, and so how does a year ago match up with the following? What do we want? Justice. When do we want it?
Now. Well, it appeared to me the way this all happened is we had a very embarrassing situation for the president. Everything was kicking loose in Syria with the Turks and with the Russians, and it's almost as if a call went out. And it was like, hey, get Ram on the phone. Get Ram on the phone. Come on. Hey, Ram, remember that video you pulled about a year ago to make sure that nothing endangered your re-election campaign? Well, time to release it, brah.
Well,
the timing was obvious.
Now, I have a clip, too, and there's a gaffe in here.
And one other thing before you play that clip. Why is it always the teacher unions? Do you remember when I went to Occupy LA and I walked around with the sign, "Don't drone me, bro"? And I went to the tent camp and
it was a while back.
Right, and it was 2012, I guess.
I don't know.
And within 15 minutes, I discovered, oh, wait a minute. There's a microphone here, but the only people allowed on the microphone were the people affiliated with the teachers union, who had at that point co-opted the entire Occupy movement. Yeah, maybe who is this teacher? These teacher unions must be very strong.
Well, in Chicago, yes.
Okay.
I think it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
In California, for sure. But play 2. Find the gaffe in this because I think there's kind of a subtle little thing going on here.
Mm-hmm. What am I playing?
This is Chicago 2. Find the gaffe.
Ooh, lovely.
In a separate Chicago case today, police announced first-degree murder charges against a man suspected in the death of a 9-year-old boy as gang retaliation. Police believe 27-year-old Corey Morgan and 2 others lured Tyshawn Lee from a park into an alley and killed him earlier this month. It was evidently to get back at the boy's father. Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy said the arrest was made possible by police coming forward with information.
Wait a minute. Police coming forward with information? Were they part of the gang, or how did that work?
No, that was the gaffe.
Oh, that's bigger than a gaffe.
I don't know where she got it, if it was on the script, because she's a reader.
Let me just hear that. Let me hear the read again, because that was intense.
This month, it was evidently to get back at the boy's father. Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy said the arrest was made possible by police coming forward with information.
Strange.
It should have been written public.
Yeah,
because they went into a package after that about how the public helped.
Oh, well, maybe she just misread it. That's possible.
Police, public.
Well,
that's a really bad misread if true. Anyway, there's nobody protesting the shooting of a little 9-year-old by gangs. But it's okay,
Yeah, well, this of course has now become a Republican talking point. Not that I'm accusing you of that.
Well, I don't know that because I haven't been watching.
Yeah, I do, because I actually was, Tina the Keeper turned me on to that story about the 9-year-old, and 2 days later, it was all over the face bag.
Well, I relent.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's see. There was just so much happening.
Well, listen, we're on the thing with protests. Let's stick with that because I have another bunch of short clips. Because the other protests, and this one was extremely well organized worldwide.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
The COP21 event is taking place.
And let us remember a little memory refresher that it is very fortuitous that we had this horrible event take place in Paris. So all eyes are focused on Paris for the COP21 climate change event. And as we know, reiterated by Prince Charles.
There's very good evidence indeed that one of the major reasons for this horror in Syria, funny enough, was a drought that lasted for about 5 or 6 years, which meant that huge numbers of people in the end had to leave the land because water ran out, their crops failed and so on. And increasingly they came into the cities, already full of Iraqi refugees from that horror and that crisis. And this combined to create a very difficult situation. It's bad enough now with refugees. We think what's going to be like if we don't deal with the problem, which is actually helping to cause it. Because the conflict very often comes from movement of people as a result of not being able to survive.
So are you suggesting that there is a link between climate change and conflict?
Absolutely.
And terrorism?
Well, one of our producers sent in, I'll put it in the next newsletter, so everyone should keep tabs on that.
Yeah.
The next newsletter will have this picture. One of our producers sent a picture of a poster in, I guess it was in Dublin or Edinburgh. I think it was Dublin. It was on the island.
I think it's Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Burr.
And it's a picture of these. It says climate causes,
anal leakage.
Causes refugees or something. It's just along those lines. And it's huge. It's like covers a whole church or some facade of some sort. Anyway, so there's these coordinated protests around the world, all on the same day at the same time. How does that happen? I don't know. But it's all about, we got to do something about climate change. This is probably and I was thinking about this. This is probably the most subversive thing that we've seen. And the fact that governments are going along with it is kind of surprising to me when you have the prince there, that guy.
Well, okay. I have some contra noises, but yeah.
Well, you can do that, but let's play a couple of these.
Yes.
Let's start with COP21 protests.
Okie dokie.
Well, 150 world leaders are arriving in Paris for UN climate talks, where they hope to agree on how to reduce greenhouse emissions to help control global warming.
Yeah, that's not why they're really there, but okay.
This as thousands of people have started to demonstrate in different parts of the world to call for a strong outcome of the climate conference, as Shana Bhattacharya reports.
A haka for the planet. In Auckland, thousands said no to more oil exploration and yes to saving the Pacific Islands at risk of being submerged by rising waters.
I'm not with a particular group, just, really care about these talks and the future of the planet, and I feel like this is one thing I can do.
Now, before I go on, that voice at the end.
Yeah.
This is like an Ask Adam. I have an ISO on it. Play the ISO so you can get. I want you to visualize what this woman looks like.
Okay, I'm closing my eyes.
She's a New Zealander.
Usually good looking. New Zealanders are usually pretty good looking.
Well, play the clip and then describe her.
Okay, closing my eyes and go.
These talks and the future of the planet, and I feel like this is one thing I can do.
Oh, she's a redhead. No? No?
I don't know. I don't remember that part.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong again. I'm sure. No. Okay, well, let me listen again. Let me just see if I can figure this one out. Because you're asking me for a specific reason, no doubt.
These talks and the future of the planet, and I feel like this is one thing I can do.
She was a redhead with a limp.
Give me her age.
Hold on.
These talks and the future of the planet, and I feel like this is one thing I can do.
I can do. She's middle-aged.
Okay. And
redhead, got a limp, good looking.
All right. She's about.
Wait. She's a twerp.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like all that.
Okay, but it's not
because she's anything but.
She's smoking
a gorgeous,
hot.
about 18, 19-year-old.
You set me up.
She's like a millennial, a really good-looking one, and she sounds like an old hag. I'm thinking
with a limp.
Are all the women in New Zealand, do they all talk like this? Like some old, like, oh dear, no. I mean, I just was like taken back by this.
I feel screwed.
Well. She was quite pretty.
But I know why they came. I know why they came, because they heard the president's call.
As one Parisian said, Paris will always be Paris. And next week, I will be joining President Hollande and world leaders in Paris for the Global Climate Conference. What a powerful rebuke to the terrorists it will be when the world stands as one and shows that we will not be deterred from building a better future for our children.
A very loaded comment. One, of course, all terrorists are shaking their boots. That's obvious. But it's so beautiful because what the president is saying here, I'll roll it back just 8 seconds. He's saying that it's a fact. It's a given fact. We are going to join hands globally, mano a mano, womano a womano, and we're going to show them terrorists. What a rebuke!
What a powerful rebuke!
What a rebuke!
To the terrorists. It will be.
Yes.
When the world stands as one and shows that we will not be deterred from building a better future for our children.
Take that, terrorist! We're driving battery cars. Screw ya!
All right, before I go on with my other clips, which are very, they're just interesting because they're from everywhere in the world. I want to hear that thesis of yours that rebukes my commentary that this is a subversive, crazy subversive movement.
I was rebuking something else. You said.
Okay, well then let's play a few more.
Yeah, play a few more, and then I'll slide into it.
COP21-2.
Okay.
Australians were the first to take to the streets on Saturday. In Brisbane, close to 5,000 people demanded a cleaner and fair world. With its large mining sector, Australia is one of the biggest carbon dioxide producers on the planet. Mining was on the minds of activists in South Africa as well, where 90% of electricity comes from coal.
Let's just shut down everything.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is not good. Play COP21-3. This is an important one.
COP21-3 sea level?
Yes.
In Manila, religious dignitaries led the climate march. Students and environmental activists followed, demanding change to allow the Philippines to stay above sea level.
Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Did someone actually have, a sign that said keep us above sea level? Did that happen at all?
I'm sure.
Let me hear that again. That was pretty. I think it is.
In Manila, religious dignitaries led the climate march. Students and environmental activists followed, demanding change to allow the Philippines to stay above sea level.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Deserved. Clip of the day. And you knew it. Then you knew it. And you knew it. You knew it.
I knew it was funny.
Well, let me roll out a couple of things here before you continue with your protest. So here is now I took a little different tact. I'm very interested in what the deals really are. What is really happening? We know that there's this 2 degrees. That's just for the stupid people. That's so we just remember something simple. Oh yeah, we need to cool it down 2 degrees. That's simple. But it's really all about the money.
You raised one important issue, and that is climate finance. So far, with a target of
climate finance, baby. Love this term.
$100 billion, we've reached between private and public sources $62 billion, and that target did not need to be met until 2020 based on our original commitments. So we're well on our way to meeting these commitments, and it's a smart investment for us to make. Sometimes back home, critics will argue there's no point in us doing something about getting our house in order when it comes to climate change because other countries won't do anything, and it will just mean that we're in a less competitive position.
Yeah. Okay, so I went looking, I went searching, and lo and behold, I found one of the main vehicles for this climate finance. And would you know, it's partially funded by the Dutch government. And the Dutch nonprofits in Holland are rampant. I think half of all businesses are probably nonprofit. It's very strange, and actually not strange. What happens in a socialist government? You get all these little nonprofits funded, little bits and bobs, and one of them is the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance. So I looked into this outfit, and I have 2 clips. And it's very obvious. You've got financial people who are not media stars at all. But I know how this goes. You set up your nonprofit. Okay, we got the money, and we're going to get this going. Okay, we need to put some promotional material out there, and then they have the founders, and often people who are just not really media savvy. And I have 2 clips. One is the guy who is within the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance, and he is leading something called Climate Investor One. Now, this may sound like a strange name. It's like a spaceship, but no, this is very typical for fund management because you'll have, Kleiner Perkins 5, right? I said right. Geez, sorry. I'm talking, when I talk about Silicon Valley companies, I start talking like Silicon Valley douchebag.
Right.
So they just give it a number. So this is Climate Investor One, formerly known as the Climate Development and Finance Facility.
And what you're saying, the way you're describing it, is that this is a fund, like a Kleiner Perkins fund, like the ones that they made money on, by the way, are 1, 2, and 3.
It's worse than that. No, it's worse than that. This is
So I can't invest in this?
Yes, you can.
Ah, good.
But it's not exactly like a Kleiner Perkins fund because the initial seed money, which I believe is, I think they've collected $50 or $60 million, comes from governments. And the idea is you invest in this fund. And this fund, I think it's in the clip here. I think they intend to build it to $2 billion. And this is just one little rinky-dink operation partially run by the Dutch. So this is not a big deal. This is the first one I've really found with a lot of information. And they are pretty much guaranteeing investors, guaranteed by the nations who back this fund, that you'll never lose your money. And what they do with this money is they invest it in, solar and wind projects in poor countries, which, of course, will be a bonanza for corporations investing in it because you have no downside. You only have upside. Well, listen to the explanation of Climate Investor One.
Climate Investor One specifically seeks to address these challenges by combining 3 innovative facilities into one to provide an end-to-end financing solution for wind, solar, and hydro projects. The facility supports projects at various stages, and at the outset will support developers through the provision of commercial, technical, and financial assistance. During construction stage, the facility will cut out complex negotiations by providing a large single check to fund construction through the operation stage.
This was my favorite part. Of all financing I've ever heard of in my entire life, when it comes to construction, never is there one big check.
I'd rather be on the other side of this deal.
Well, I think that's the idea, is that you want to be one of the economic hitmen executors who goes in and takes the big check and, we'll build something, don't worry about it. Every construction project I've ever known of, you get a piece here to start, we check how you're doing, then we get you the next piece. No,
otherwise you get ripped off.
One big check, everybody.
What did you do with my big check? I don't see anything. Actually, we need more money.
I think it's actually one of those giant checks, the real big ones that that you give out as a
single check to fund construction through the operation stage. Once operational, the facility provides an access to institutional investors to invest and get access and exposure to.
And mind you, institutional investors, very important. Institutional investors are not just you and I.
That means I'll tell you what that means. That means everybody out there, your retirement funds are screwed.
Stage. Once operational, the facility provides an access to institutional investors to invest and get access and exposure to operating stable assets in attractive investment jurisdictions. Over the next 6 years, we are hopeful of building out at least 10 new projects, mobilizing something in the order of $2 billion. We hope that will connect something like 4.5 million new customers to power.
Hold on a second. $2.5 billion will connect 4,000 customers to power.
No, it was more than 4,000.
I don't think so.
No.
Hold on. Let me roll it back. Let me see.
1 million new customers. 1 million.
Maybe I just misunderstood what he was saying.
Something in the order of $2 billion. We hope that will connect something like 4.5 million new customers to power.
Why did I think 1,000?
Avert 1.5 tons of CO2 emissions.
1.5 tons?
What?
That's nothing.
My car delivers more than that.
That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. Isn't the price of 1 ton of carbon like $30? This can't be right, but yet here he is saying it.
Of CO2 emissions.
Wait, let me just play back. He said 1.5 tons, moron.
We hope that will connect something like 4.5 million new customers to power, avert 1.5 tons of CO2 emissions, as well as create something in the order of 8,000 jobs. All of that done at a cost in the order of 15 to 18% lower than business as usual at the moment. Climate Investor One has been developed.
I know.
And supported by FMO, the Dutch Development Bank, and Phoenix InfraWorks.
Hold on a second. We've got our money in this fund, and we can spend it better than somebody who's doing it commercially?
Apparently.
Ridiculous extreme?
Apparently.
It's still money. The money can only buy so much. You can buy a bolt.
But John, you know what the secret is. The secret is one big check. One big check. No, it's one big check.
Yeah, the one big check. That's what does it.
Do you want to hear the 2 founders of this outfit? Do you want to hear them?
I have to keep playing. This is interesting.
Okay, that was over. Here's the 2 founders. One guy is a real finance guy. And I believe the other one, she may be Dutch, let me say.
I'm Tom Hiller, Executive Director of Climate Policy Initiative, which serves as the Secretariat for the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance.
The Secretariat.
And I'm Barbara Buchner. I'm Senior Director of Climate Policy Initiative, and I am managing the
she's not Dutch.
Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance.
Global Innovation Lab.
As nations work to address climate change, access to finance has emerged as a critical element. Enough capital exists to move the world on a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. However, current investments in climate-friendly development falls far short of the need.
This is particularly true in developing countries, which are often unable to attract private investment.
Now, this guy has a typical New York banker face, and you can tell that he's annoyed he has to do this because he just wants to get the money flowing. This is a money guy. Doesn't give a shit about you, your kids, or the earth, or anything.
To low-carbon and climate-resilient activities.
And this resilient activities is a joke. So climate resilient activities. Well, I think sleeping is a climate resilient activity. Napping for humanity. Yes, all of that is valid.
Nap for humanity. At the scale needed to reach their emissions and energy access goals. As we move toward and beyond Paris this year, the need for action is on the ground.
On the ground.
The Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance addresses these challenges by identifying, developing, stress testing, and launching cutting-edge climate finance instruments.
Now, that is banking. Cutting edge usually means high risk. Financial instruments is bonds, it's derivatives.
You can make anything.
Bitcoin could be it could be anything.
You can make anything. You can as long as you can create it and package it up and add about 1,000 pages of legalese, which is what it always amounts to.
And it's annoying that these people aren't. The audio is crappy. That's annoying too. But what they're saying is highly important. This is what it comes down to. This is just one.
Well, stop for a second, because one of the things that's not discussed in this, the COP21 and all the rest of it, is China. And what they seem to be talking about here is Africa, because that's the place where you can do all these development deals. And the problem with Africa is the Chinese are coming in there and doing all these deals on their dime. And the term that I heard the last guy said was private equity. We need private. We need some companies in there. But they never mentioned China. China's never mentioned in the COP21 thing. This is almost like something to stop China. I mean, when we talk about Africa and talk about China, but we never talk about China.
It was addressed in the Senate hearing. Senator Brasso was talking to Todd Stern. He's from the State Department, and hold on a second. He has an interesting title. He is the United States Special Envoy for Climate Change, leading talks at the United Nations climate change conferences and smaller sessions, appointed by the Secretary of State. And he was initially appointed by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And his message is very clear. And I have to say, I enjoyed what he was saying, because we are pretty much out to screw everybody else, we being America.
I wonder if you think that it serves the interest of this country to establish a precedent that international commitments are made in a manner designed to thwart the constitutionally derived oversight role of Congress.
So what he's saying is, hey, hold on a second. If you guys are going to be making some kind of deals over there, you better make sure that we sign off on. That's what he's worried about. The answer is somewhat surprising.
The United States Senate.
Well, no, I would not think that would serve the interests of the country, Mr. Chairman. We are going to look at the agreement once we have an agreement, and we will evaluate at that time. And we will act fully in accordance with law. As you know, there are different procedures by which the United States has historically and continues to join international agreements. So we will act fully in accordance with law. We don't know yet what the agreement is going to say.
So does the administration plan to submit any climate change agreement produced in Paris to the Senate for its advice and consent?
Mr. Chairman, we don't know yet what the elements of the agreement are going to be. it's hard to speculate at this time. We have, as I said, we're pushing hard for an agreement that does not include binding targets, which are kind of the heart of the agreement. So we're looking for something that is not binding in that regard.
So it's something that is not legally binding. If there are parts that are,
I love this. Yeah, we're going there, but we're not really going to do anything for real. You crazy? We're going non-binding agreements. But what's the point?
It's pointless. It is going to be a good time for everybody. They all go into Paris.
Oh no!
And there's a lot of good restaurants.
Everybody's already there. They just stayed on.
In fact, Amy Goodman went. She didn't go during the crisis. She went now because she wants to be there a whole week. And so she takes off, I guess, on Thursday. Because the whole Friday Democracy Now!, which I hope to get some clips from, the entire show was devoted to some guy's lecture.
Oh.
Which they played the whole lecture of this guy, and they never had any news at all.
Oh, I'm dumb.
I mean, even we
had a clip show. We had a clip show. You want to hear some more of these climate finance people, or are you done with them?
Play a little more.
The lab brings together high-level members from the public and private sectors. And by drawing on the experience of its membership and the climate finance community at large, it moves quickly from talk to action. Just over a year of operation, the lab has launched 4 climate finance instruments that have collectively already raised nearly $200 million in initial funding.
Mm-hmm.
These initiatives include, first, Climate Investor One, or formerly known as the Climate Development and Finance Facility, which will fast-track renewable energy projects in developing countries.
Fast-track.
Second, the Agricultural Supply Chain and Adaptation Facility, which will partner with agribusiness companies to help local farmers make climate-resilient agriculture in
Climate resilient agriculture. This is the biggest bullcrap term I've ever heard. Climate resilient. You know what? What
does it even mean?
It means you're resilient to climate. Water resistant, I think, is the same. This watch is climate resistant. The lab members, by the way.
Resilient watch.
Resilient, I'm sorry. The lab members, great to call it a lab. These are all African companies. So we have Principal, Oliver Andrews, CIO, Africa Finance Corporation. We have Private Sector, Africa Development Bank. We have, Moroccan Agency for Solar Energy. We have the BlackRock NTR Renewable Power Fund. Bullshit! We have, Allianz Climate Solutions. That's,
this may be part of a bigger scheme which began in the 70s. And I have a clip. Play it.
Okay.
Play the AIDS in Africa update.
Ooh, okay.
AIDS is now the main cause of death for African teenagers.
Wait a minute. I thought they were dying from climate change.
The UN Agency for Children, UNICEF, reported that since 2000, AIDS-related deaths have tripled in children between the ages of 10 and 19. One reason, the global push to eradicate HIV focused on babies and not as much on the second decade of childhood.
Oh, so
that's the reason.
We have to kill them all.
That's the reason. What a crock.
We didn't do a good job.
Unbelievable.
So this thing is truly the Brazilian Development Bank. Of course, they have a couple of
they don't have enough
Deutsche Bank
of their own.
Yeah, oh yeah. A couple more seconds.
Investments. Third, the energy savings insurance, which will ensure the value of savings generated by energy efficiency investments.
Energy savings insurance. Everybody's in on the scam, John. Everybody, except us.
And fourth, the long-term foreign exchange risk management instrument.
This is pure derivatives. Long-term currency exchange, what you call it? Investment protection or something, but that's what you use derivatives for.
To ensure the value of savings generated by energy efficiency investments. And fourth, the long-term foreign exchange risk management instrument, which will provide the tools to address both currency and interest rate risks related to climate-relevant projects in developing countries.
Oh, God. How to hedge your money.
The lab
these guys are pros.
Yes.
You know how to do this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Have been endorsed by the G7. If they're piloted and replicated at scale, they have the potential to unlock billions of climate finance in and for developing countries.
Party!
Building on the success of the first year, the lab has launched a second cycle and is also working to expand into India. And we are looking forward to the next generation of instruments that can make an impact on the ground.
Expand into India from where?
Wherever they want to do it from.
Africa.
Yeah. So this is mainly Africa. Yeah. So this is all about money. We are not going to commit to anything binding. I didn't play the very end of that Todd Stern clip. He says, well, we already kind of preset our deal with China, which is just bogative. There's nothing. Nothing.
Well, I might as well play the last COP 21 clip, which is number 4.
Well, before you do that, I have one last one that I'll put up. What is it? Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
You raised one important issue, and that is climate finance. So far, with a target of $100 billion, we've reached, between private and public sources, $62 billion. And that target did not need to be met until 2020 based on our original commitments. So we're well on our way to meeting these commitments.
$100 billion?
Yeah, that's my hollow tooth.
$100 billion?
Yeah.
I have potholes out here on Highway 80 that need fixing.
It's a smart investment for us to make.
Smart investment. See, even the president's talking about investments. It's not. I agree. We have other things we can invest in.
Yeah, like the potholes.
Meeting these commitments, and it's a smart investment for us to make. Sometimes back home, critics will argue, there's no point in us doing something about getting our house in order when it comes to climate change because other countries won't do anything, and
this one already.
I'm sorry, we played. It was bad enough. Yeah. So
now the reason I want to play this 4th clip is because after everybody runs out of all this bull crap, like the Philippines will be underwater, that sort of thing.
It's under sea level.
Under sea level somehow. And then it's like, you have to have protests all over. What do you think Tokyo? I'm going to give you a guess here. I'm going to stop the clip and say, what do you think that the Japanese are going to complain about?
About being underwater.
No, and you would have never guessed this.
This is in the clip?
In Tokyo, Japanese protesters raised their voices too, concerned about the number of animals going extinct due to climate change.
Of course, I could have known.
Everything is because of this.
I found one more website.
This is an astonishing thing we are witnessing.
Oh, it is. This will be written hundreds of years after we're dead and gone. This will be written about.
Maybe not.
TCX Fund is another one of these outfits. This is the currency exchange fund for climate resilience.
They have this climate resilience.
Yes, and they have products. We have, by providing hedging instruments, TCX facilitates the establishment of a local currency business line for its investor and clients. So TCX can hedge the lender, TCX can hedge the borrower. You don't think anyone's in the middle making money, do you, somehow?
Not yet, but there's got to be some credit default swap out there that should be purchasable by the average guy somehow if you can even find out about it. Most of these things are secret.
So the Currency Exchange Fund is a special purpose fund that provides OTC derivatives, that's pink slips, to hedge the currency and interest rate mismatch that is created in cross-border investments between international investors and local borrowers in frontier and less liquid emerging markets. The goal is to promote long-term local currency financing. To achieve this objective, TCX acts as a market maker in currencies and maturities not covered by commercial banks or other providers. Notably, there are no offshore markets, no long-term hedging, or in extreme cases, no more. We need to get Horowitz on this. What we need to do.
Well, he'd probably say the same thing. This is all kept under wraps unless you're part of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
That is the problem.
It's true. Just all the people involved in this. Oh, there's one woman from Holland who's leading one of these nonprofits. Just just make my skin crawl. People. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
So I think that's all we have for COP21. Waiting for it all to kick off, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of things to talk about. Do you have anything else on this?
No, I think I'm done with COP21. I think, I'm expecting to just, watch Amy Goodman. She's going to be there gushing over
and
everything.
Her hair will look great. I saw Brooke
Her hair will not look great.
I saw Brooke from CNN wearing like a pink scarf over her head, very Parisian. Yes, I'm in Paris now. I'm wearing a Parisian headgear. Oh, yes, it's lovely. Douches, all of them.
Well, the real problem is it's freezing there at this time, so everyone will be inside eating.
The optics are never good for climate change of global warming when it's really freezing outside. It doesn't look good. I don't see why these people don't get that. Seems so simple. Do it in May or April.
This would be a good time to be in Rio.
Well, with that, I want to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for Climate Resilience, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, and also in the morning to all the ships at sea, and in the morning to all the boots on the ground and feet in the air and the subs in the water and all the dames and knights out there.
And in the morning, everybody in the chat room, welcome back. Good to see y'all for our live show. We do it on Thursdays and Sundays. NoAgendaStream.com.
Anybody in the chat room? There's people in the chat room.
There's people in the chat room.
What if they were in the chat room during the Thanksgiving show?
Most definitely.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People hooting it up. I want to thank Spades85, who provided the artwork for episode 776.5. It was very, very nice of the fat lady, we presume, the fat climate lady.
I also want to, I got to thank you to go out to Mike DuPont, who gave us one of those Eiffel Tower pictures I use in the newsletter, and he deserves credit.
Very nice. You can see all of the submissions at noagendaartgenerator.com. And now we have multiple podcast clients able to portray artwork by episode. So if you look at your podcast player, and not all of them have it, we're working on getting more people to support the otherwise, this is part of the protocol. It's just people never, there's so few podcasts that create fresh artwork for every episode that a lot of these podcast clients just said, we don't need to show it by episode. But when you see it, like the Windows podcast player does it, and I think Pocket Cast does it, and I want to get Overcast to do it, and maybe iTunes' very own podcast app would do it, since, I don't know, it's their special tag. It looks dynamite, and I think it helps. I really do. So it's appreciated, all you artists out there.
Okay.
There's a special episode today, 777.
777. We do have a few people to thank, including Sir Mark Workman, the Baron of Gulch. And he sent us $789.10. We'll put him in the 777 club. And he sent no note. He sent a check with no note. Just he noted that he's the Baron of Gulch.
Huh. And there's nothing in email?
No, he mailed it in.
Okay.
There you have it. Yeah. Now, No Agenda Nation came in with 777.77.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How nice.
Actually sent a note. He says we don't have to read it, but...
Yeah, of course we're going to read it.
But he says, no note, he says, with the No Agenda Nation donation, just thanks to producers and even the boners for supporting the show in their various ways. It's a fantastic audience that gives, he's not listening right now. Or maybe he is. He might be. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic audience that gives a glimmer of hope that not everyone are dull-eyed, apathetic morons, which is what he thinks of the people that don't listen to the show. I guess he's had his own Obama-bot dinners.
Yeah, I smell some frustration.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on.
Well, that's very cool. Thanks. That's Eric the Shill.
Sir Thomas Nussbaum, and he's closing his store at noagendanation.com and shipping everything out on December 1st. So go check it out if you want to buy a cup. The thing I recommend is those mugs.
Does he get any? Yeah, does he still have any lanyards? I like the lanyards a lot.
Oh, he's got millions of
I got to
lanyards.
check and see. Yeah, lanyards and the Wake Up in the Morning sticker is my
the bumper stickers were, one of them is particularly nice.
Right.
Sir Thomas Nussbaum in Virginia Beach, 777. And does he have a note?
Yeah, I see. Thank you for everything.
Oh.
And one last chance to order from to order from No Agenda Nation. Great.
Mm-hmm. He does. Nussbaum is a baron.
Yeah.
Sir Isaac of Altadena in Altadena, California, 34567. And he says, as current events unfold, the show becomes more and more important to everyone and history. Here's 34567 to help the cause.
Gracias.
Okay. And then we drop to associate executive producers with
Meredith Bagwell.
Yeah, where's Meredith's note? Did she send one in?
Doesn't seem like there's a note.
I'll look it up on email and we'll give her a call out on. Whoops, hold on. I just
holding on.
I just there we go.
Still holding.
Crashed the thing. Okay, we'll look up Meredith. Sir Joseph Frost in Dalewood, Illinois, 23359, and he says, "Hey guys, Sir Joseph Frost here. It's a Mile High Club 5280 plus 3333 plus my favorite number 6969 plus the lucky number 7.77. It all adds up to whatever. Here's some straight cash coming. Hornies.
Homies.
Oh, this is hornies.
No. Oh, God. It's so it begins.
Okay. Padro Vaz.
Pedro, not Padro.
Pedro Vaz in Coimbra in Portugal, 23310. And he says, I have to click on these to grow them. Credit me as Serendipity. Thank you for this, is Serendipity. Thank you for your media deconstructions. This is a 777 donation. Hail Boeing for the new 777.9X-9X. Douchebag call out to Philippe. Douchebag. And Fernando. Douchebag. You are both in a slave comatose state before No Agenda. Now have some dignity. So contribute. Please play Resist We Much, followed by Two to the Head and Karma for All.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
You've got karma.
Dame Francine Hardaway closes out to the associate executive producers for $200 in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to be part of the Mile High Club and be an associate executive producer for show 777. Love you guys more and more over time.
We're like a fine wine. We're like an aged meat.
Yeah, that's what you want. Actually, you do. You want your meat to be a little aged.
Yeah, we are aged meat.
It became a controversy over the turkeys.
What?
Your turkey. Now, the turkeys we had were just butchered the day that we picked them up. And there's a controversy online. If you look at, you want to cook the turkey right away because a bunch of people do, oh, this is the best. Or do you want to let it sit for about 2 or 3 days to relax? Which is, oh, that's the best. Mm-hmm. It was never resolved, so we just ate the turkey. Anyway, so it could be us too. Anyway, I want to thank all these folks for contributing to their executive producership and associate executive producership. We also have a list of people that will get credited on the final tally for 777 who have previously contributed 777, and they will get executive producerships for this show, 777, plus the one they received earlier. Remind people we do have another show coming up next Thursday when we're back on track.
That's right.
And it'll be Dvorak.org/NA to go help us out.
And a quick PR mention, a good friend of the show, Sir Jimmy. Sir Jimmy, you remember him from Free Hollow Books. We all have books that have been hollowed out and it's a dynamite product. And he has relaunched his service, and he has a donation coming up later on in the show. And but it is Sir Jimmy. He's been with us for many, many years. He has a new company, a new focused on customized gun books, And you can find it at hollowbooks.com. And it's a dynamite product.
That's funny.
Why?
Just like you have a big gun catalog, and it's actually a hollowed out book with a 45 inside.
That's the best kind, yeah. And it has the quick grab slots, so that if you really need to grab your gun from your hollow book in a hurry, and you don't have to be like tapping it out trying to get it to fall out. And it's custom made to your weapon.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Hollowbooks.com.
Does it have a bunch of templates for different guns?
Yeah, I think so.
Smith & Wessons and 45s and 38s.
It's our audience, man. They're fantastic. Yes, these credits, of course, are official credits. So your executive producer, your associate executive producer credits can be used anywhere credits are recognized. Unlike the douchebags in Hollywood, if you need someone to vouch, just give us a call. We're right here for you.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And, of course, we need to continue with the very important work of going out there and propagating our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Dvorak. Oh, what's going on? Oh, no. Glitch.
Shut up, slave.
Sorry about that. Shut up, slave. Sorry. Sorry, it's a glitch.
We have to have a quick meeting here.
A meeting?
Trevor Baxter writes, I'm on the brink of declaring my protectorate.
Oh.
Pending my coming donation, can I be granted the Baron of Antarctica? To my knowledge, no one has claimed it.
I don't think
so. And it's very important someone claims it for the future of the No Agenda Empire.
Very good.
Yeah, you can claim it, sure.
Yeah, I think so. Not a problem.
We await further instruction.
I got to tell you, man, I'm so happy that we have this podcasting thing for as long as it lasts.
Until the government shuts it down.
Yeah.
Although we will get the podcasting license to continue.
Oh, the license will continue. I mean, podcasting is really one of these mediums that it was invented for the revolution. You know, people say, "Oh,
the media revolution."
Well, let's face it, no revolution is going to be started on Facebook or Instagram. Somewhere we will not
change your icon. You didn't change your icon. Are you with us or against us?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, so please keep your podcasters rocking it. There's a new puppet on the scene who I'd not heard of before, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Have you ever heard of her? She is
Tulsi Gabbard.
Democrat from Hawaii.
No.
Now, I like her. She is, first of all, she's good looking. No, I will say she's hot. Hold on, let me just double check.
You would say that.
Yeah, but I want to make sure. I wrote that as a note to me.
Now you got me looking her up.
Tulsi Gabbard. Let me see. How
what
old
a
is
name.
She? She's 34. No wonder she looks hot. She's 34. She's young. And she's, yeah, so as I said, she's...
How do you spell Tulsi?
Tulsi. Tulsi Gabbard. Well, while you're looking her up, I have a multiple parter here. I was blown away that she is she has the balls to say it, but she came out and just said over and over again exactly what is happening with Assad, with the United States, with the rebels, with ISIS, ISIL, Daesh, call it whatever you want. And I like this lady.
But there's a bigger issue here that I'm concerned with, and that is the fact that the U.S. and the CIA are working to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad, while Russia, a longtime ally of Assad for decades now, is working to defend or uphold this Syrian government of Assad. And this puts us in a position of a possible direct head-to-head conflict with Russia as long as the U.S. and CIA continue down this path.
She keeps saying CIA. She keeps
she's going to get a visit.
Well, but I think it's Brolf who's interviewing her. What do you think? Will Brolf say, hey, wait a minute, is the CIA doing this? Do we have covert operations there? Is this something that I should know about?
Well, how does the U.S.
What is he, an idiot?
Why, yes.
CIA continue down this path.
Well, how does the U.S. and Russia avoid that head-on contact? Because you're absolutely right. The U.S. wants to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. The Russians want to boost him and protect him together with the Iranians, their allies, the Lebanese Hezbollah group. They're trying to prop him up.
What?
He's going on and blah, 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 blah.
How do you avoid that potential collision?
Very simple. The U.S. and the CIA should stop this illegal and counterproductive war to overthrow the Syrian government.
Illegal and unproductive war.
Attention Hawaii. Attention Hawaii. You should not go into any hot tubs.
Of Assad, and should stay focused on fighting against who our enemy is, the Islamic extremist groups. Because right now we're seeing why this is counterproductive. By working towards that end, by working towards overthrowing the Syrian government of Assad, we are not only strengthening our enemy, the Islamic extremists, who will walk in and take over all of the country of Syria. Right now they have about half of the country under their control, but it also puts us in that position of a potential direct head-to-head conflict with Russia, which brings us to the brink of a potential larger conflict of a World War III type situation.
She's speaking my language. How could she's crazy?
Couple of things.
She's in the wrong party. She should be a Republican.
One, she's one of the 2 female combat veterans, along with Tammy Duckworth.
That's right. She is
in Congress, and she's actually an American Samoan and a Hindu.
That's why she's so pretty. Those bloodlines make her look dynamite. All right, she had a couple more things to say to our friend Brolf. This is, some very obvious advice. Maybe you should not be arming these morons.
Why do you say the U.S. effort to get rid of Bashar al-Assad's regime is counterproductive and illegal?
Why? Because it is.
Because it all is, bro. Well,
first of all, there's not been a vote in Congress to authorize the use of force, to authorize a war, to overthrow a sovereign government.
And she is right. The only authorization of military force, which the president keeps saying he wants to have a new version of, is for those responsible for the 9/11 attacks. That is the literal text of the authorization of use of military force. So we do not have an upgraded one, unless you want to call these guys still part of that original operation 15 years ago.
For as long as I've been there, that hasn't happened. It didn't happen before I got there. So the American people haven't had a choice to speak their voice, to approve or disapprove such a war. Therefore, it's illegal. Secondly, it is counterproductive because right now, U.S. arms are getting into the hands of our enemy, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, these other groups, Islamic extremist groups who are our sworn enemy. These are groups who attacked us on 9/11 and who supposedly we're trying to defeat, yet at the same time supporting them with these arms to overthrow this Syrian
So you
government.
don't even want the U.S. to provide weapons or arms to these anti-Bashar al-Assad...
No, not to Al-Qaeda, bro. No.
Assad rebels.
I don't want the U.S. government to provide weapons to Al-Qaeda, to Islamic extremists, to our enemy. I think it's a very simple concept in my mind that you can't defeat your enemy if you're arming them and helping them at the same time. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Have you told this to officials at the White House?
We've had conversations, both in hearings and otherwise. And I think it's important for the American people to stand up and say, look, we don't want to go and do what happened in Iraq with Saddam Hussein, do what happened in Libya with Gaddafi, because these are countries that have fallen into chaos and that have been taken over by these terrorists because of the actions that the United States and others took.
And she pretty much brings it all home by saying, hey, you want more of what we've seen in the past? Then continue on this path.
Yeah, well, if it concerns me deeply to see this tremendous and tragic human suffering, I think it's important for leaders of the world, leaders here in the United States, to look at this issue, though, and say, okay, if you do in Syria what happened in Libya, what happened in Iraq, because the same things that are being said about Assad right now were said about Gaddafi. They were said about Saddam Hussein by those who were advocating for the U.S. to go in and intervene to
You're done.
She's going to get read in on this, and she told us shut up. This will be the last time you hear her talking about any of this stuff. You watch. Now, the funny thing about her, I'm still reading her bio.
Mm-hmm.
This will kill you. She was a Hare Krishna.
Really?
Hare dancing
Krishna,
around in the road.
Hare Krishna.
Dancing around in the road at airports.
We're collecting money.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Really? How long was she a Hare Krishna?
It doesn't quite say. It just mentioned that it was in the... she's a vegetarian and a Hindu who follows this Krishna guy. And she was a Hare Krishna movement, especially... It doesn't say.
I think she should have a dot on her forehead. She's beautiful and she's smart and she's right.
Yes, and she's done.
And she's done. She's done for.
Not done for. She's going to be taken aside.
Yeah, I got a little.
And they're going to get rid of the Riot Act.
Yeah.
And bring one of her kids with a gun to its head. and say, you've had your day, you had your fun, you had your nice little speech, you got on the CNN show, isn't that sweet? By the way, you stepped in front of somebody in line to do that. You can stop now.
You didn't know,
and that'll be the end of it. You just happened to catch it.
Yep. Well, I like her.
You'll never hear from her again.
Sad.
I challenge you.
Very, very sad.
In a month.
I think this kind of leads into that Azrael thing you sent me this morning.
This is this really irks me.
Which I had a lot of thoughts about this after seeing these couple of videos you sent me. Which is, and this is not normal that John sends me something to look at.
No,
at all.
Because he'll dig into it and then he'll edge me out.
Yeah, you send it to me last minute.
It says last minute. You have to. Otherwise, it's like I got my conclusions. I got my thing where I'm working on it. Well, the way it turns out that there's this NGO in South Africa.
I was like, oh man, I have no time to dive into this. But I have thoughts about it. Which one? Give us the backgrounder.
Okay, the first thing I ran into there. First, everyone, I want to keep a lookout. I want everyone to keep a lookout for a new site that is kind of like a Vice clone called Vocative.
Vocative?
Vocative is an up and comer. And they're starting to feed news feeds into different, like PBS and other outlets. And they have, if you read their wiki page, the wiki page, let me just say, is full of crap.
Vocative news from the dark web is what they.
They claim to be big dark web. So what they're doing.
Wait a minute, is this a Rita Katz job? What is going on here?
It's a Mossad front.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's start there.
Yeah, all right, gotcha.
And the guy who runs it is a very famous Israeli industrialist, and then now he's a very famous American real estate guy, and he's got lots of connections with Mossad.
And what's his name?
Oh, you can look at the wiki page and get his name.
Right.
It's some Israeli name. And he's hired a bunch of mostly millennials, even though they claim we're stealing our talent from the Beast and the NBC and CBS. No, they're all ex-interns that are, some of the guys are functional, but they're young. And the thing really appears to be just a propaganda arm of Mossad. And that's where I first ran into this. They did a whole video on this character, Azrael, and people can look him up and check out his videos in particular.
Both of them are in the show notes, both videos.
Those two, but you can also look him up on YouTube, Azrael. And let's hear the rundown. This guy has been promoted by someone for some reason. I'm not sure what, but he appears to be, he's like a celebrity. They call him the Rambo.
The Iraqi Rambo is what they call him.
The Iraqi Rambo. And it looks, the videos that he's produced to promote himself on social media
look a lot like Rita Katz produced.
Looks a little like Rita Katz stuff, and there's just a bunch of guys standing over hills shooting their gun, and they not wearing helmets.
I love it when he loads up a machine gun with a belt, and then just holds it over his head and just fires indiscriminately and blows the whole belt in a second.
Yes.
And then they're in the gym working out, these guys.
Him and a bunch of other guys are big dudes. They're got big
They're almost like the PC bros in South Park.
Exactly. Well, the first clip is a background on it. It's the Azrael F-24 rundowns from France 24.
In this edition, one man against the Islamic State group, a vigilante hero in the city of Baghdad. We follow the man who set himself up as a single-handed force against the jihadists. Abu Azrael is a rough, tough, and determined man. He's nicknamed Rambo. And he's become a propaganda symbol of the fight against Islamic State or Daesh. He's almost a caricature, carrying his armory around in his car, working out in the gym. But to many, he represents the hope of one day winning the battle against the jihadists. Our report by Julien Fouché begins with the hero worship Abu Azrael inspires on the streets of the Iraqi.
Isn't the name Azrael almost already like kind of hinting that maybe there's some Israel behind this guy, or is that just me?
I don't think it's you.
Capital.
Whenever he steps out of his car, it only takes seconds before people crowd around Abu Azrael. These Baghdadis all want their picture with the man who many see as a national hero.
I'm ready to do anything for him. Anything. I swear. You're everything to me.
People worship Abu Azrael, and on the Gev, which literally translates to the father of the angel of death in Arabic. The Shiite militiaman is the most renowned fighter in Iraq. His bravery has turned him into a living legend in a country still in shock after the Islamic State ousted the Iraqi army last summer.
I stand by my words. That's why people prefer having me instead of a dishonest politician who announces measures on TV but does nothing.
Abu Azrael has spent all night in Fallujah district fighting the Islamic State organization. In the trunk lies his equipment, always at hand.
Wow. That's an M4 with a grenade launcher. These are explosives. A grenade, a smoke bomb. This is another smoke bomb.
Yeah, he's loaded to the gills with smoke bombs.
And in that video, then he's like, they keep talking about how I don't know if you have this on the clip, about how he's is shooting video for the fans back at home on his cell phone. Do they have cell phone coverage in these areas? Because it seems like he does. Because but just posted on Facebook. And then they go to some hill. It's like, they're right behind this hill, and then they're shooting over the hill with their hands up in the air.
Shot.
Never, no. And then they say,
you never see the
time
enemy.
To go. We all should leave now because there's nothing. I think there's nothing there. He's shooting at nothing.
It's all bull crap.
Yeah.
Well, and the guy has a catchphrase.
I didn't know that.
I'll turn you into dust or something.
Grind you into dust. Yeah,
grind you
into dust.
So the French 24 guys, they got into his house, and I only have 2 more clips. And here he is in the house, and he's pontificating, and it's discussing, throwing out a couple little tidbits there that are worth listening to.
I'm sorry, you had more?
No.
Oh, okay.
In this simple home, decoration consists of religious books and this portrait of Ayatollah Khomeini. These militias obey Iranian religious leaders more than their own government. Abu Azrael says he's ready to pursue his war beyond the borders of Iraq.
If the Imam tells us to march on Saudi Arabia, on Mecca, we'll go. And if we have to go to Yemen to help our Houthi brothers, I'll go. All we ask for is to fall as martyrs and have a decent end, and God willing, I'll die a martyr, or we win.
He works for the Iranians.
Yeah. He works for the Iranians, and the whole thing's some propaganda stunt. I'm not sure who's behind it, how they're doing it, who's producing this, but it does have the stench of Rita.
Yeah, big time.
Now, meanwhile, to do this report, they grilled the reporter, the French 24 reporter, and I thought if you can understand him, which you have to really key in on this French accent, and you kind of hear what he has to say. He does give away something kind of interesting about how he got to the interview in the first place and how it got clear and how he got into the guy's house, which apparently was a challenge.
Fouché, was it easy to convince Abu Azrael to take part in this film shoot?
It was not easy. It was the first time Abu Azrael accepted an interview with a European journalist. It was the first time also he accepted to be filmed off the battlefield at his gym and especially at home with his family. To convince him, I had to get through a powerful Iraqi businessman, member of the Iraqi diaspora here in Amman.
I'm going to need some translation. I can't catch all of it. What is he saying?
It's coming up.
Washington. They have close ties with the Iraqi politician, the brigade commanders of the Shiite militias, and so they convinced the Abu Azrael commanders Abu Azrael to be filmed by a Western journalist. The businessmen, those Iraqi businessmen wanted to show
Okay, stop. When you resume the clip, you cut out the part that
I'm sorry.
where they say, I'll summarize. Some guy who's in the diaspora, the people that left the country of Iraq and moved to Washington, D.C.
As one does.
He says there's this business guy in Washington, D.C. who he contacted. It was, I guess, like he was the front man or he's the roadie or something for this character, and he talked him into letting them to approve it to I guess skid the track so he could get in.
Yeah, it was well arranged. It's clearly
something.
propaganda.
I think the State Department and this thing was a fake. In other words, this whole thing was a scam. And they had this on France 24. It was like a 17 to 20-minute special about this guy.
Why do you think?
And it ran in March or April or May. I mean, we missed this when it first happened with this character because he has not been promoted in this country at all.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for him. The Iraqi Rambo, it's good. They've got some good stuff going there.
Yeah, Iraqi Rambo.
I'll grind you to dust.
Grind you to dust.
So a couple things back home. Mike Morell was on Charlie Rose. Mike Morell, of course, former second in command at CIA, and later ran the CIA for a little while.
And he still runs. What do you call it when you run
Operation Pundit?
He runs Operation Pundit. Is him.
And imagine Mike Morell, who has kind of this Weasley mousy face. When he's saying this on the Charlie Rose show, he's smiling. He can't contain his glee.
Attack the funding that they have, attack the ability to sell the oil. We've seen attacks on that oil transfer taking place now after Paris that didn't take place before Paris, which is your original question.
Right.
Which it would be doing now.
So this is one of the collateral damage questions, right?
Right. One of the collateral damage questions, right? Right, Charlie? Right? Right.
So prior to Paris, there seemed to be a judgment, right? I don't sit in the sitting room anymore, but there seemed to have been a judgment that, look, we don't want to destroy these oil tankers.
Now, this is about the what do you call
it? Shoot down of all these where they.
Well, they're trucking all the oil from the ISIS now controlled oil fields in Iraq into Turkey. Run by, what's his name? Balil, I think, is Erdogan's son. He is.
Yes, and by the way, I think we missed the timeline, which is the Russians show these tankers and humiliate the Americans for not shooting them. We then shoot them. Balil gets screwed in the deal, and so they shoot down the Russian plane.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, I want to stick with the tankers for a moment because I have two clips, two varying opinions. Now, we did not blow up this entire, what do you call it? What do you call one of the convoy? We didn't blow up the entire convoy of trucks.
No, just enough to get some photos.
Do you know why we didn't blow up? There's two opinions. Mike Morell has an opinion, and then we will hear from the Department of Defense.
I have a theory.
What is your theory? What is Mike Morell's theory?
I don't know what his theory is, but my theory is that they ran out of bullets.
I'm going to give you Mike Morell's theory first.
There seemed to have been a judgment that, look, we don't want to destroy these oil tankers because that's infrastructure that's going to be necessary to support the people when ISIS isn't there anymore. And it's going to create environmental damage. And we didn't go after oil wells, actually hitting oil wells that ISIS controls because we didn't want to do environmental damage and we didn't want to destroy that infrastructure, right?
Right. So we hit oil on trucks.
So now we're hitting oil on trucks, right? And maybe you get to the point where you say we have to also hit oil wells.
Woo! Hit them
all! Those are the kind of tough decisions you have to make.
Rubble! Brought to you by Clan Kagan.
Rubble on the double!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to rubbleize!
So I love that Mike Morell plays right into your thesis that the plan may ultimately be to just rubbleize the whole place, make the oil fields completely unusable. But of course, it's obvious we were not going to bomb this entire convoy because it's sending oil up to Turkey. There's a lot of people who are involved with Erdogan and his kid and all this oil, and it's a big, whatever you do, don't talk about the oil. Now the Department of Defense says the following about why we did not go out and blow up the whole convoy.
Again, on the fuel tanker strikes, it looks like from the video that they were targeting specific trucks instead of targeting them en masse. There were many in a line, for example, and only one was targeted. Can you sort of talk about what the plan is with that? Is that a design to kind of send a message, or is it meant to block other trucks from being able to move? Why only one when it seems like you could target all of them if you wanted to?
Now, the beginning of his answer is already fabulous.
Well, they did target all of them. The way they did, that's just a factor of kind of how the video comes out, the way we, cut it, because otherwise it would be hours long. So we were just looking for the good shots.
Hours?
We're just looking for the good shots, he said.
It would be hours long.
Oh, yeah, hours long. Just looking for the good shots. We just want to put together a snappy, snazzy video for you. It's called propaganda, dude.
That you'd like. But yeah, but they go through and they have to, again, because it's about precision, right? And again, it's not a movie where you kind of fly along and just strafe and...
No, it's not like a movie. We just fly along and strafe and blow. What? We can't do this now? This has been bullshit? We can't go fly along and blow them all up? No.
The trucks blow up. No, it's they struck each truck or groups of 2 or 3 trucks. It is a machine gun, so there is a certain area aspect to it, right? The gunfire isn't laser guided.
Wait for it.
Ballistics will cause the bullets, the rounds to move a little bit in the air. So it's individual, strike a truck or 2 or 3 trucks, move to the next batch, strike them, move, strike. And so the goal was to destroy every truck there. They ran out of ammunition before they were able to do that.
There you go. You nailed it. We ran out of ammo. Hey, but let's get this convoy. Shit, man, we ran out of bullets. They're shooting the convoy with a gun? Come on. That is the worst excuse I've ever heard. You said it as a joke, I'm sure. Right?
Wow.
Didn't you say it as a joke? They ran out of bullets?
I said it as a joke.
It's true. Quite honestly, they ran out of ammo. I'm sorry.
Did you go back and reload? The convoy's still there.
I'm sorry. Obama has some great things to say about the terrorists out there.
The message I have is that those of us who are charged with protecting the American people are going to do everything we can to destroy this particular network. Once this network is destroyed, and it will be, there may be others that pop up in different parts of the world. So we're going to have to continue to take seriously
terrorism.
How the infrastructure that we
write that one down, John. Pop-up terrorism. Good one.
Built to prevent this. But it doesn't have to change the fundamental trajectory of the American people. And the media needs to help in this. I mean,
hold on a second.
Helping enough?
Pay attention. Let's get our pads out. Do you have your pad?
I'm ready to take notes.
All right. Are you ready? The media needs to help
in this.
All right.
I just want to say, during the course of this week, a very difficult week, it is understandable that this has been a primary focus. But one of the things that has to happen is how we report on this.
John, pay attention. We're not reporting right. We're not doing it right.
It has to maintain perspective.
Okay.
And not empower in any way these terrorist organizations or elevate them in ways that make it easier for them to recruit or make them stronger.
Okay, put them back to JV.
No. You stepped on the line. No, it's not a JV.
Or make them stronger. They're a bunch of killers with good social media.
Now, would you shut the fuck up for 1 second? You keep talking over the punchline. Jesus.
In ways that make it easier for them to recruit or make them stronger. They're a bunch of killers with good social media.
There you go.
Ow. Step on anything.
That's how we go. That's how we roll.
That's all, folks.
I don't have good
and that's the story.
Media skills. It's bull crap.
Now, the president is also trying to save his own skin, and he's getting a lot of help because of the...
And by the way, stop. What if he said, if this is not going to encourage people, one of the reasons people are joining is because they are a bunch of killers, and these 16-year-old boys in the middle of nowhere that have miserable lives want to go be killers. I want to be a killer.
And they have good social media.
Yeah, so they can keep up with their Facebook account and they can be killers.
Yes.
They're just making this worse.
And
because it's bull crap. The whole thing is a scam.
It is. Now, it's all about, in this case, just getting Assad to go. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Well, we should also mention, was it Project Hornet's Nest?
Yeah, this rings a bell. Why does it ring a bell?
Because it's another thing I sent you last night really late.
I didn't get to. Thanks. Too late. Thursday. The president trying to save his own skin because, of course, he said it was a JV team. They're contained. He said that pretty much the day before the Paris attacks. He's been wrong everywhere. Time to blame the intelligence.
One of the things I insisted on the day I walked into the Oval Office.
I insisted.
Was that I don't want intelligence shaded by politics.
Shaded.
I don't want it shaded by...
Shaded.
The desire to...
This shaded thing. Have you heard this term that the kids today are using? Hey, man, don't throw shade on me.
No.
Oh, yeah. You got to look out for it. She threw shade on me, man. It's like when you look at someone like they're a douchebag and make them feel small. The shading. So it's shaded.
To tell a
bullying, man.
Good story. We can't make good policy unless we've got good, accurate, hard-headed, clear-eyed intelligence.
Good, accurate, hard-headed intelligence. That's right. Guess you didn't have it, sir.
I believe that the Department of Defense and all those who head up our intelligence agencies understand that.
They understand it. Mm-hmm.
And
aiming this at the DIA.
Oh, yeah.
That I have made it repeatedly clear to all my top national security advisors that I never want them to hold back.
Oh, he's really. This is really sickening. He is really blaming everybody else.
One last thing I'll say though is, as a consumer of this intelligence,
can I become a consumer? Is there a website I can sign? I'd love to get this intelligence.
It's not as if.
And by the way, it's very, very important that he says as a consumer of this intelligence. But I don't know. I'm just consuming the intelligence. I think everyone knows they're supposed to do it right, but clearly something went wrong.
Consumer of this intelligence?
Hold on a second. What is he specifically bitching about?
He's saying, what he's trying to say is the intelligence on ISIS, ISIL, Daesh, IS was wrong, but he's just a consumer. But he doesn't have good information, then he can't call the shots. That's why he made mistakes in saying they're a JV team and, they're contained.
Well, he's trying to cover his ass for his commentary.
Yes.
As a consumer of this intelligence, it's not as if I've been receiving wonderfully rosy, glowing portraits of what's been happening in Iraq and Syria over the last year and a half. So to the extent that it's been shaded, again, I don't know the details of what's the IG may discover, but it feels to me
he does.
They're doing an investigation? Is that what he implied?
Oh, yeah, the IG, yep.
Like, at my level, at least, we've had a pretty...
at my level?
He's the top guy.
It sounds like there's a level above him that we are unaware
of. The details of what's the IG may discover, but it feels to me like, at my level at least, we've had a pretty clear-eyed, sober assessment of where we've made real progress and where we have not.
Okay.
A lot of mixed messages in that little thing.
And then there's one thing I would like the press. I can't ask.
What that was all about. That was a message to somebody.
Oh, the message is there's an investigation going on. You're screwed. It's not my fault. Or maybe it was a message to the inspector general saying, at my level, hey, if you want to have a career anywhere, IG, you want to be careful what you're doing. Here's the one thing that I really want, at least, and I've heard it so many times now, and I went looking for it, could not find the answer.
Coalition of 65 countries who've been active in pushing back against ISIL for quite some time.
I would like to know what the 65 countries are.
Why didn't you not even bother? Why don't you just play the clip you've got right there, the bullshit clip?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
Bullshit.
France has been a central part of that
France
coalition.
One, yeah.
As have European countries.
European countries. Well, let's just pull, is it 22?
Something like that.
Screw it, we'll give them 25. So that's
25.
But France is a part of that, so it's 25. So it's 25.
Arab countries.
Arab countries. How many Arab countries?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 12.
12. Okay, so now it's 37.
Countries as far-flung as Australia.
38.
Countries in Southeast Asia.
So, what's in Southeast Asia?
Well, Cambodia, South Vietnam, not South Vietnam, Vietnam.
Let's just call it
Indonesia, Malaysia.
Fine. We're up to 50 then. 50. I'll give you 50.
Are part of that coalition. Russia right now is a coalition of two. Iran and Russia.
What, I don't know how isn't France in that coalition?
Apparently, he doesn't want to. No. I don't want to hear anything about France. My ears are closed.
I really, really, really want to know what all the 65 countries are. I know that Germany is sending 1,500 soldiers now. This is new.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't know they still had them. Germany, and I think the Netherlands is sending a helicopter, or half a helicopter, once they get the steam up to speed. It really is just not true.
No.
And then one of our producers sent me a note, and I always like to follow up on every kind of angle I can when it comes to what's really going on in the world. And I'm not afraid of religious texts. I'm not afraid of looking into them. And one of our producers sent me a story which is in the Old Testament about Gog and Magog. Have you ever heard of these two jabronis?
Of course.
I'd never heard of Gog and Magog.
Oh, you have to have heard of Gog and Magog.
No.
Yes, very famous Jewish characters.
Well, not only Jewish, but they also appear in the Quran. They also appear in other religions. And what it seems to me, if
the second half of show material.
Not really, because I got some first half of show clips. It seems that whenever Gog and Magog are called into some kind of conflict, it is end of times. So it's Book of Revelation stuff. So I just went searching around to see who has used this Gog and Magog analogy, and I ran across, I think it was a Democracy Now! Interview with Kurt Eichenwald, I think his name is, a New York Times reporter, and he reported on the first, well, not really, prior to the invasion of Iraq in 2003, George W. Bush called up Jacques Chirac. And he said, look, you guys, remember, this is the Freedom Fries call. You guys got to get on board because, well, it's time. And we'll listen to what Eichenwald said.
You write that Bush said to Chirac, quote, Jacques, you and I share a common faith. You're Roman Catholic, I'm Methodist, but we are both Christians committed to the teachings of the Bible. We share one common Lord. Bush goes on to say, quote, Gog and Magog are at work in the Middle East. Biblical prophecies are being fulfilled. This confrontation is willed by God, who wants to use this conflict to erase his people's enemies before a new age begins. End quote. Can you elaborate on that?
That was a very interesting day when I heard that
question.
Can you elaborate on this?
This was a phone call. At that point, Chirac had been expressing a great deal of doubt about the intelligence that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. His doubts, obviously, were well placed. So there's this phone call, and Bush is, giving many reasons why France should become part of it, why Chirac should be joining in. And he's not having a lot of success. And suddenly you shift into this religious conversation. And Chirac's response to this was, he gets off the phone, and other people have been in on the call, and he looks at his staff and says, does anyone know what he was talking about? And
clearly the leader of France at the time was as dumb as I was.
His administration, someone there reaches out to an expert on the Bible in Switzerland. And this person, because it's like, what is Gog and Magog? And this person writes up a report for, I just say this and it's surreal. He writes a report for the French president explaining these biblical terms that were cited by the president of the United States in this national security conversation. And Gog and Magog are from two books of the Bible, one the book of Ezekiel and one the book of Revelation, and it is central elements in the apocalyptic the Armageddon concept. And so Chirac's response when he reads this is, I'm dealing with a fanatic, and I'm not going to make national security decisions for France based on someone, the president's interpretation of the Bible.
I love that story.
wisely.
Well,
of course, it resulted in freedom fries.
and then I found another clip from an imam in Britain who has his own interpretation based on the Quran of Gog and Magog. It's just, I think these things are good to listen to.
Who are Gog and Magog? Are they funny-looking people or are they normal human beings?
I don't know.
Huh? To answer that question, we have to locate a people who prior to Wailul lil Arab, prior to the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, had no special links with the Holy Land, but after the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ are now obsessed with liberating the Holy Land. Only one people qualify. It's Europe.
Yep.
Europe after the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ embarks upon the Crusades. It's the white people doing it.
Oh.
The European. It's not an essentially Christian phenomenon. Why? Because no other Christians are involved in the Crusades. Only Europe. So the Crusades are an essentially European phenomenon masquerading as Christianity. Secondly, the obsession with the Holy Land continues with the Zionist movement. But the Zionist movement is European, but it is masquerading as Jewish.
Oh!
How do we know that? No other Jews are involved in the effort to liberate the Holy Land, only the European. This strange obsession on the part of Europe for liberating the Holy Land, which they eventually did in 1919, indicates that Gog and Magog are located in European civilization.
Aha.
We can refine it even more than that. We can be specific within European civilization. Because the hadith is that when Gog and Magog are released, the first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. And by the time the last of them pass, they'll say there used to be water here. Who are they who are drinking the water from the Sea of Galilee? Not the Egyptians, not the Jordanians, not the Syrians.
Wait.
Israel.
Jews!
Who in Israel? Not Banu Israel, the European. It is the European Jew who controls the state of Israel. So we can identify Gog and Magog not only in Europe, but also in that part of Europe which is Jewish.
But I'm telling you.
Well, I got that's a roundabout way to just condemn the Jews again.
It's exactly what's going on. But be on the lookout for this Gog and Magog. Because just looking back in history, the Gog and Magog meme has been evoked many, many times. And it does pretty much, usually ends in rubblization.
Well, we're getting a rubblization taking place as we speak.
Yeah. But I'm not going to discount the religious
So I would guess the
undertones.
Kagans. Robert is Gog.
Yeah.
And maybe Newland is Magog. Victoria Newland, Magog.
Well, she would be Magog.
She's the one who keeps showing up.
Yeah.
She shows up. Boom, rubblization follows.
You know, what we haven't done is we haven't looked...
It kind of looks like Magog.
Hold on a second. Do we have a... Oh, my machine is freaking out today. It's not happy. I wanted the Noodleman jingle. She's so slick, she's taken that away from me.
Yes, that's what Magog can do. You have to be careful.
She's going to Turkey.
Well, it's about time.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Turkey's long overdue for rubblization.
Yeah, they may get it. Okay.
Well, the Russians have already closed the border. They won't let they used to be passport free to go to Turkey. That's no good. They're going to pull the oil.
Yeah, I have a clip on the sanctions Russia's imposed on Turkey.
Moscow has announced a package of economic sanctions against Turkey over the downing of a Russian warplane on the Syrian border.
Hey, can we agree? Can we stop saying downing, downed, the down? Can we just say shot down, blowed up? I'm sick and tired of downed.
It has to do with cattle.
And it gives me trigger warnings for Down syndrome. So stop. It's very disturbing. Downed. It was downed. Why is this term used all the time?
I'm kind of amused that it irks you so much. And then on the second level, I have not noticed this, but now that you mention it, why do they keep saying? Why do they say shot down or shot or the shooting or the destruction of the plane?
Yeah, it's always downed. It was downed. When's the last time you downed something?
I downed a beer last night.
Okay, you can down a beer, but that's
down like a glass of Beaujolais.
Yeah.
Beaujolais should be drunk in that.
But you're not drinking an airplane. You're drinking a Beaujolais. Downed. I don't like downed. I think it's chicken shit.
Moscow has announced a package of economic sanctions against Turkey over the downing of a Russian warplane on the Syrian border last Tuesday. President Vladimir Putin has signed an order which includes a ban on imports on some Turkish goods, as well as restrictions on Turkish firms operating in Russia. It also calls for an end to charter flights from Russia to Turkey and for Russian travel companies to stop selling holiday packages.
We're looking at restrictions on imports. We don't know what exactly will be what will be restricted yet. We'll find out next week. But Turkish firms will be restricted from doing business here. Turkish workers will be restricted on coming here. In terms of tourism as well, we know that charter flights will certainly stop, and that travel agencies are now being told to stop selling holidays to Turkey. Now that's a big deal for Turkey, because something like 4 million Russians went to Turkey last year on holiday. Obviously those people, the Russians as well, will be affected by this measure. But it does seem to stop short of affecting energy politics between the two countries. It seems like the gas tap won't be turned off, the oil will continue to flow, and scheduled flights between the two countries will continue. That was something which had been discussed, whether or not all air transport between the two countries would in fact be stopped.
Okay, so the main thing is the oil will continue to flow. That is the main thing. I don't think anything else matters.
Well, 4 million tourists amounts to an awful lot of money.
Oh, it's a big deal.
That's like $4 billion, because they probably spend $1,000 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. But Assad,
when they start telling the Russians that are in Turkey to leave the country, then I'd be worried.
Assad, meanwhile, is still available for interviews. He is.
Is Charlie Rose going to interview him yet again?
No, we got some chickie from Phoenix TV in Hong Kong. I mean, anybody can go interview the guy now. And I think he did a very smart move.
But the most important thing to the Chinese people now, China is one of the greatest countries in this world. And to be a great country doesn't mean to have great military and great economy and so on. You need to have great values. And that's what the Chinese have today. So we look toward what the Chinese people and the Chinese government will do for our world in the future, near future, and after.
Seems to me like that was an open invitation for the Chiners to come and join in the festivities. Come on by. We think you people are smart.
Yeah, they got great values. Sure, play this clip. China crackdown on dissent.
And in China, a prominent human rights activist was sentenced to 6 years in prison as a nationwide crackdown on dissent by the Chinese government continues. 48-year-old Guo Fei-shang was arrested for, quote, gathering crowds to disturb social order after a week-long peaceful demonstration outside a newspaper office 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, it's all coming here. It's all good. Just getting ready for it. I think we should wind up this segment with Dianne Feinstein.
Gog.
I can say this, Director Comey and I think John Brennan would agree that the Achilles heel in the Internet is encryption. Because there are now, it's a black web.
It's a black web now, John.
A black web? I've heard of the dark web, but a black web.
She went to the black web. Trigger warning. Racist.
The Achilles heel in the Internet is encryption. Because there are now, it's a black web, and there's no way of piercing it.
Can't pierce the black web. If only I could reach my utility belt, I could pierce the black web.
And this even in commercial products. PlayStation, John.
PlayStation.
Which our kids use.
Kids.
If the two ends communicate, that's encrypted.
Whoa.
So terrorists could use PlayStation to be able to communicate.
I mean, it's fantastic. You use PlayStation to train while shooting, and then you can use it to communicate.
And there's nothing that can be done about it. You know, I have visited with all of the general counsels of the tech companies just to try to ask them to take bomb-building recipes off the Internet, recipes that have been tested and we know can explode a plane.
Explode a plane. Where did she get her education?
Explode a plane.
I mean, this is 5-year-old talk. It exploded the plane.
Explode a plane. Directions where to sit on the plane to blow it up.
Blowed it up.
We know there are bombs.
She should have said to down it. That would have been much better. Where to sit to down the plane.
Where to sit on the plane to blow it up. We know there are bombs that can go through magnetometers. And to put that information out on the internet is terrible. And her head is gone.
Terrible, I tell you. Just terrible.
What an idiot. I think she's senile.
Well,
she doesn't look right if you see her.
Yeah.
Her eyes are sunken. She's got a vacant look in her face. I think she's
the Botox has seeped.
Oh, there are a lot of it could be. Yeah, I think she's been Botoxed.
Hey, how come
that's pathetic?
I just hit a jingle.
That's a borderline clip of the day, by the way.
I hit a jingle and it didn't go. What's going on? Something's wrong here. Hold on. Huh. Oh, now you have two things for me to do. Hold on. The borderline clip of the day, and I want to get into our segment.
Well, apparently nothing works anymore in your machine there.
In fact,
you got too much stuff going on.
Hold on a second. It actually doesn't seem to be working.
I think it's out of control. It's decided. It's striking.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
I missed my borderline clip of the day. Oh.
Yeah, it's too bad. Too bad.
Oh, well.
You might get another one later. You seem to have a lot of good clips.
Well, I had a little bit of time.
All right, well, let's thank a few people for helping us out on show 777. There's going to be a long list because we have a lot of people that gave 77.70.
Nice.
But let's start with, I don't know why. I have no idea why this says Sir Alan Bean when it should be Sir Robert Smiley. And make sure he's on the birthday list, which I think he is.
Hold on.
$177.70 from Holland, Pennsylvania.
I have Sir Alan Bean is wrong? No, I have
Yes.
Sir Alan Bean. Yeah, I got him. Okay, I got him.
Yes, Sir Alan Bean did contribute this to this show, his normal $50 that he sends in from Oakland. But that's not, I don't know how this got here like this, because it's Sir Robert Smiley, who is an international spy. Is a novel. No, he's not.
Okay.
But he's named after a famous character in a Le Carré book. Kirk Ann in Genesco, New York, $130.57. He's got a couple of things going on here. Joachim Fornelaz in Zurich, Switzerland. I don't know how to pronounce his name. 12345. Donald Borowski in Spokane Valley, Washington. 12345. Oops. We have to stop because this is a
stop tape.
This is a member of the United Federation of Planets.
We have the letterhead.
He's got the letterhead. That means I must read the note. Hey, I don't know why nobody else takes advantage of this, or I guess they can't join anymore. Here is a bit of support for the show, even though I can't listen. My DSL service has been out for 5 days so far.
Oh,
that
sucks.
You should have mentioned who it was so we can shame them. I'm surviving on old shows that I downloaded previously. Cheers, Sir Donald of the Fire Bottles. WA6OM. I guess. Spokane Valley. Fellow ham.
Yes. Ow. Sorry.
Clay Gilliland in Chandler, Arizona. 11111. Wayne Lacombe, capital L, small, Larcombe. Sunnybank, Queensland, Australia. And this, he's got a knighthood coming, so I think we have him on the list.
Outstanding, yes.
Stephen Hawkins in Wakefield, West Yorkshire, UK. $100 flat. Dame Beth Borazon, the Baronetess of Baja, Arizona. Tucson, actually, in 8948. Thank you for your courage, she says.
Yes.
Benjamin Ritgers in Ames, Iowa. 88. Joe Campagna.
I'm just doing my 88. Sorry.
I'm hearing it. Yeah, there it goes.
Yep.
In Ontario, California, 77. Ken Anderson in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, 77. Sam Menner, 77 in Box Hill, South. Brian Hasty in Hudson, Wisconsin, 77. Trevor Baxter in Aurora, Indiana. And he had something to say, and he had a note, too. I think, wait a minute. Trevor Baxter.
I have thanks for all you do. The service is worth so much. I give you what I can. Sometimes I can't. I don't know what I would listen to without you guys. Everyone is lying to me except you.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Thank you for your courage.
There was a note here from him that came in. I think it's separate than that. All right, onward. Whoops. Thing threw the paper down on the mouse, and the mouse clicked something, and now I'm way off here. There, I'm Dame Borazon.
Dick Monday.
Ah, yes.
7777 with a note.
Parts unknown. He, by the way, sent a note in saying he wants to be anonymous. And so I think Dick Monday is a bullcrap name.
Okay.
But he went by that name, and I said it was not to say the city. Baroness Monica Lansing is in with 7770. These are all 7770s from here on out. She's in Drayton Valley, Alberta. Catherine Lee in Shah Alam, Malaysia. And she sent a note in saying she can't give us more Malaysian news. But to sum it up, at the end of the day, we have Prime Minister who equals Clinton in the murder club kill list. That's good to know. Robert Goshko in Sherwood Park, Alberta.
Now, Robert Goshko has a note. He says, I see that I have accrued enough value for value to be promoted to Earl. So this donation, I would henceforth like to be known as Sir Robert Goshko, Earl of Alberta. I think Eric missed that one.
He is the Alberta Earl at this point. Sir Robert Goshko. Sean Mountain in Nuevo, California, 7770. Joel Blazik in Reno, Nevada. Christopher Dechter in Richland, Washington. James Zuckel in Los Angeles, California. Daniel Vautour in Scarborough, Ontario. Dame Tanya Wayman in New York City. Nicholas Frost in Canberra, Australia.
Canberra.
I said Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
Canberra. Dan Reeder in Maudsley, Queensland. Robert Drykeson in Oshkosh, Bagosh, Wisconsin. Eric Wesseldike in Burlington, North Dakota. Jay Kincaid in Roswell, Georgia. Aaron O'Farrell in...
Jay is first-time donor, wants a dedouching. I think we should hand that one out.
You've been dedouched.
There you go.
Thank you. Aaron O'Farrell in Elk Grove, California. Harvey Lee in Federal Way, Washington. David Villieu in Concord, California. Ryan Wolf in Covington, Virginia. Nicholas Ragucci in Hanover Park, Illinois. Irina Marchenko in London, UK. Brent Dombrowski in Westminster, Maryland. Sir Richard Gardner in parts unknown. John Geyser in South Elgin, Illinois. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone says. Richard Gardner in Chicago. Sorry. Sir Richard Gardner in Chicago, Illinois. He's something to say. Lonely exists not having other no agenda. Producers in the immediate circle. Meetups.
Yeah, meetups for sure.
We have to actually get on the stick. 2016 will be the year of the meetup. We will try to encourage local no agenda because you're in Chicago. There's probably
there's a lot of people in Chicago.
50 no agenda people in the Chicago area.
You can meet up with all of Tina the Keeper's sisters.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a meet. Chicago is ripe for a big meetup.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you meet, you can hang out or do whatever. Because everybody, I don't know about you, but every time I've seen no agenda listeners get together, they all like each other.
Oh, always. Even if they differ in opinion, they all get along.
Yeah, they get Democrats and Republicans. They still like.
It's beautiful.
Aaron Guzman in Redding, California. Dr. Java in Loveland, Colorado. Dave Carey in Clermont, Florida. Armando Guerra.
Yeah, there he is.
The mailman.
The mail carrier.
I'm glad. The mail carrier.
Yes.
The mail attendant. The mail engineer from Austin, Texas.
Hey, Armando.
I think it's great that he still listens.
Yeah, of course.
Dennis,
it keeps him going. He's walking that route every day.
He probably listens to the show while he walks.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
That's a great idea. Dennis Jarnett in Hollister, Maryland. Sir Charles Walters in Schaumburg, Illinois. Vincent James in Madison, Alabama. Dude named Benonymous in San Leandro, California. He did send a note in, which says, let's see if I should look at it. These notes are, Just says it's KJ 6RHJ.
KF5SLN 73s.
And the dude named Benonymous is the end of our list of 77.70s. Now we go. Continue with Got Nate in Draper, Utah, 69.69. Ellen Murray in Missoula, Montana, 67.89. James Wolf, 67.89. Los Angeles, California. Not sure what the 67.89 is.
I'm not sure either.
Ellen did send a note and saying
it's just nice. 6789. It's nice.
Oh, 6789. Duh. Ellen says seriously, you guys make life brighter.
Oh, thank you, Ellen.
James Wolf 76789 said that Sir Inside Jobs, the Black Knight of Seattle, Washington 6666. Sir Brian Warden in Down, Illinois 6433. James Kachin II in Herndon, Virginia. We need more Virginia money.
Yeah,
got a birthday coming up there.
Yep.
6050. John Bulzovich, I think, in Warren, Michigan. 60. Good Polish name I can't pronounce.
Now, this next one should be hollowbooks.com.
I thought it was free HoloBooks.
No, that's the whole point. He changed it because they're no longer free. It's hollowbooks.com. Yeah, he's got a business now.
Oh, okay. Well, it's hollowbooks.com, 65678. Another good number in Summerfield, North Carolina.
And he's launching on Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday. What a crock. Mark Magpayo in Cerritos, California. Double nickels on the dime. Josh McDonald, double nickels on the dime. Parts unknown. Andrew Dawson in Wantirna South, Victoria, Australia. 652.80. David Swanson, 52.80 in Grants Pass, Oregon. And these are the Mile High Club. There's only 5 of them. 6. Alan Fleetwood in Cottage Grove also has a birthday, Oregon, 52.80. Howard La Hero in Worcester, Massachusetts, or Worcester, I guess, 52.80. Kathleen Bowman in Quartz Hill, California, 52.80. And Vale Pilley, parts unknown, 52.80. Good old Sir Eric Hokel in Berlin, 52.80. And then onward to Marcos Murayama Nagasaki in Linz, Lima, Peru, 51.50. Karma for everybody. Well, we do have a couple of karma requests, including one of them for a daughter that needs work.
Okay, so that would be a jobs karma?
That'll be at the end.
Yeah, I got to get that ready.
So pay attention. Mm-hmm. Eric Osnes in Lawndale, California, 51.50. Sir Brian Kaufman in Phoenix, Arizona, 50.50. Gregory Davis in Lawton, Oklahoma, 50. The final ones are $50, and that includes Gregory Davis in Lawton, Oklahoma. David Dural in Malta, New York. Gerald Inabane in Union, South Carolina. Ross Turpin in Troy, Kansas. Peter Totes in the UK, 50. Shad Rich, and I won't say it, parts unknown, 50. Donald Napier in Chicago, Illinois. Brian Evans in Berwick, Victoria, Australia. A lot of Australians today, thank you. Paul Davis in Feltham, Middlesex, UK. A lot of Brits today, thank you. Joe Schwartzbauer in Florissant, Missouri. Matt Comstock in Walcott, Connecticut. And wrapping up, we got Sir Sandy Geisler in Watkinsville, Georgia, 50. Amy Herbert in South Windsor, Connecticut. And Sir Alan Bean over here in Oakland, Sir Bogdan Lahendro in Roanoke, Virginia, and that concludes our list of well wishers for the last 2 shows.
That's right. It was 2 shows, right?
There's a 2-show list for 776.5 and 7770. I want to thank all of you for helping us keep going here.
And also thank you to everyone who came in with the affordable donation, as you stated in the newsletter, of $7.77. A lot of those. That was very good.
A lot of them had little notes that were very nice. And yeah, it was John Bulzowicz that had the daughter who's looking for work and she needs job karma.
Okay. And a lot of Go Podcasting. Well, for some reason, people like putting that in their donation note. Go Podcasting. That's right. Go Podcasting! All right. Hey, thank you all very much. This is great. This totally carried us over for the 2 shows, and glad, again, thank you to Sir Cyber for the No Agenda Funnies on Thanksgiving, which traditionally is a very, very slow day for listening and for producerships. So I think I'm happy. I'm thankful. No, I'm thankful. That's what I am. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very thankful, and I think this is a very slow week. The Thanksgiving week is miserable. People are not watching or listening on Thursday. Hopefully they will listen because the show's so funny. And today's show probably has a minor audience, too. Hopefully they'll just download it and play, and then
the one thing I saw consistently when everything was going down this week was, oh, man, why did we have to wait until Sunday? People want to hear the voice of reason, whatever we provide. Which, of course, is completely unfettered. We have nothing to worry about for what we want to say.
Because we don't have commercial interests involved in the show. No. Because commercial interests will always make the show slanted. It will ruin the show.
Yes.
That's why we ask for contributions. And we prefer plugging all these people, mentioning them by name, than talking about some product you should buy.
Exactly. And quite honestly, there's not a lot of products I like anymore. You?
Well, not really. I like
Dvorak.org/NA. What were you going to say?
I don't know. I got things around here I kind of like. I like the slide whistle.
All right. Let's hand out the jobs card.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your support. It's highly appreciated.
It's your birthday.
And the list reads as follows. Sir Alan Bean turning 54. He turned 54 yesterday. Kevin McLaughlin celebrates his birthday tomorrow. James Cashin II. His happy birthday to Doug Yu. His birthday is today. Alan Fleetwood celebrating tomorrow. And David Bradshaw will be celebrating his birthday on December 1st. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Titles
Hold on a second. Hold. Stop. Did you say Sir Alan Bean instead of Sir Robert Smiley?
That's what I asked. Sir Alan Bean.
No, I said Sir Alan Bean. No, at the beginning I said Sir Alan Bean was listed for $177.70, but it was for Sir Robert Smiley, and he's the one who should have gotten the birthday call-out.
I said I have Sir Alan.
Well, I didn't hear you correctly.
Okay.
So
tell me what it was.
Sir Robert Smiley has a birthday. He's 54.
Got it. We say congratulations to Sir Robert Goshko becoming the Earl of Alberta, Canada, and we have a nice list of knights today. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knights. So I'd like to invite onto the stage while I get my blade here. John, yours, please, if you can get that out. Kevin McLaughlin, want him on? Yeah? You got it?
It was some ranch hand. It's stuck in here.
Uh-oh. Sir Lloyd of...
Okay.
Perfect. Sir Lloyd of Brisbane, Joachim Fernandez, and Wayne Larcombe. Come on, gentlemen. All of you are now joining the round table of the Knights and Dames of No Agenda. I hereby pronounce the Sir Kevin, Sir Lloyd of Brisbane, Sir Joachim, Sir Wayne Larcombe, and Sir Benjamin. Order of dudes named Ben. For you, we have hookers and blow, rent boys, and Chardonnay. We've got Dilaudid and Dramamine, crickets and cream, cheap wine and chili dogs. Screw it. Just get some mutton and mead. Oh, my God. Tough list. Please all go to noagendanation.com/rings. I'm pretty sure that's all going to stay open, right? Just because we've sold out the inventory, the rings part stays intact.
The rings are not, they're being made as we speak, so they won't.
Oh, it'll be a little while?
Eric says they'll be around Christmas when they get shipped out.
Oh, but it'll be a lovely Christmas gift.
Yeah, you make sure to post it on Twitter or something so we can, repost it.
Excellent.
Retweet it.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. It's really, really appreciated. Let me see. A couple more things that were going on that... Oh, yeah. I thought this was kind of cool. I really enjoyed Jeff Bezos and his rocket ship that landed.
Looks like a big dick.
Okay. Most rockets do.
Look at this thing.
Most rockets do.
No, this looks really bad. I mean, this is like one of those things that you would have in one of the movies with Mike. I can't remember the name of those films, but where he played this Shag Me character. spy.
Oh, the Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. It reminds me of that bit that you did in there.
I really liked that Elon Musk is all pissed off about it. That's the thing I like most.
No, I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah. He's been tweeting, saying, well, we've been doing these for many years now. Although
God, what a baby.
Every single one of his attempts, of course, fails. He hasn't been able to land it like this one did. It landed back on Earth. It was damn cool to see. And he was on with Good Morning America, and Bezos.
Musk.
Now Musk is all teed off, And Bezos, he's got this cool video, which is, of course, animated. And you see people go up into space, and they're floating around in what looks like a really nice capsule with big windows, which would be the head part of the dick you talk about. And it's just fun to listen to Bezos laugh.
And your website actually teased some information about a window seat and space travel. Is that something that you could possibly be planning?
Yes. So right now we just flew this vehicle successfully. This is the beginning of a long and very deliberate test program where we're going to fly the vehicle many times, and then when we're completely confident in it, we're going to start using it to take people up into space. That should take another couple of years.
Wow. Now, do you want to go to space one day? I mean, it's one thing to launch the rocket successfully.
You know it. Absolutely. I've wanted to do that since I was a 5-year-old boy. It's a passion. It's deep in my heart. You guys are invited if you want to come with me.
How many takers on that offer?
I'll
do it. Yeah.
You're going to go?
Yes, I'll go.
Some of us only fly first class. I'm a coach guy myself.
I get window seat. Why would you want to do it? I mean, because at first I was thinking no, but you're right, Jeff. It's a great adventure, and you're going to test it over and over again. I still haven't seen the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, Jeff.
I love how Bezos laughs. This is so great. Unfortunately, it was good.
While you were playing that clip, I was thinking the same thing that one of them said, which is most people haven't even seen the
Grand Canyon. Yeah.
But they're going to take one of these rides.
I'm sad that it's that he offered that to Good Morning America and not to Al Roker. Put that fucker in space, please. Get rid of that guy.
Look at that juice. Yeah. The juice that comes out. My hand is dripping wet here because I have nothing but juice.
Attention all human resources. No entering second half of show.
All right, second half of show. It's a short one today. I caught some breaking news on CNN the other morning, and I was dumbfounded once again. Once again, I just can't believe why people don't see through this hoax.
Okay, everybody, we have breaking news on this daily hit. Breaking galactic news.
Important.
A mouse has been found on Mars.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait,
look at this. Look at this. Wait, where is it?
Oh,
Show
so it's
me.
like a Where's Waldo thing?
Yeah, but
where is
it?
the mouse?
I need it spot shot.
Oh, there it is.
Wait,
is that a mouse?
Yeah, that's a mouse.
Or is that an optical illusion?
Well, I think it's a mouse.
A Mars optical
It's a Mars
that
mouse.
Looks like a cockroach. That doesn't look like a mouse.
There, you see its ears to the right?
I can't believe this. This is breaking news. When will they just say, all right, it's New Mexico. Come on.
Mouse.
We know.
It would be different with those little rodents that are there. They're not really mice.
It's really nuts.
Well, you're going to do that. I get to do sports news.
Oh, wait. We have a jingle for that, I think. Is this about football?
Yeah.
Okay, then I say, here we go. Sports! John C. Dvorak with sports!
Well, there's been a breakthrough in the kind of sports coverage we can expect in the future from ESPN. And there's exemplified here by this report. They had the coach of the LSU Tigers, or what are they? The Tigers? I don't know what they are, but they're LSU team. I think they're the Tigers. Maybe not. What is the LSU team? Somebody in the chat room must know. Whatever the case, they had the coach out there. They're interviewing him, and because he's surrounded by all the players, he breaks into song.
Coach, you just got off the shoulders of your team. Tell me what this moment feels like for you.
It's great. I love this team. Great young men. They fought like hell. I'm going to have to sing alma mater now. I'm sorry. The molder of mankind.
Oh, God.
Man, greater glory, love unending before
reminded me of you, Adam, so I had to play it.
Thank you so much. So that's our sports report. We got singing sports right here on Sports News! I think that may be a good news segment. I kind of like it.
Now I have one other thing that's kind of interesting, offbeat, since you got the second half of show stuff. If this was done as a native advertisement, this is a native advertisement. I believe it was a native ad. I could be wrong, but whatever it was, it failed as any sort of report. This is the KTLA dingbat clip.
Well, the FDA has ruled that genetically engineered salmon are safe to eat. The ruling paves the way.
Yeah, right there. There's the big mistake right there.
For the first altered fish to eventually reach supermarket shelves. Now, that decision ends a 5-year battle waged by the company Aqua Bounty Technologies to get approval for its salmon, which has been shown to grow much faster than farm-raised Atlantic salmon. No word yet on when the first batches of fish would be sold commercially.
Not that you would buy it anyway.
Yes, nor would I eat that ever.
Oops.
Nothing modified. Why would you eat something modified? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, they're here.
Thanks, Kai. Cheer, cheer.
Oh, that's why we're educated about those things. It's important to stay healthy. Well, outside we go and...
Hello? Is this advertising department?
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably heard about the deal we had for our salmon, our genetically modified salmon. I'm a little confused.
We do a lot of deals.
Yeah. Excuse me. Is the customer wrong? I am your customer.
I'm sorry. I don't know who you are.
I'm from the GMO Salmon Company.
Oh, right. Yeah, we did it. We placed that ad in one of the KTLA.
Yeah, but I'm not understanding why your morning team decided to then tag this. This was not the agreed to tag. This is not how it was supposed to work out.
No, we agreed to talk about it a little bit after it played.
Can't you keep these people in line?
We agreed that we'd talk about it. What they had to say. It's fine. I mean, you got your plug.
No, they then said that they would never eat anything genetically modified. This is an outrage. I want make goods. Make goods.
You're not getting it. You're lucky to be in business. Bye.
Hold on. I just snotted. Hold on. I don't want to be on the end of that phone call. Oh, they messed that one up.
Why eat anything modified? It makes no sense.
I caught a thing on CNBC. I think the Obamacare exchanges are open, and there was a profit warning and a big notice from United Health. Now, United Health is one of the largest health insurers.
Yes, one of the big boys.
They're only 3 or 4, aren't they? Like really big ones. We got Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Health, and
eventually there'll only be one.
Here's a former CEO of Aetna, and he's talking about, and this is on CNBC, about United Health possibly considering leaving the exchange.
Well, I think what we have to recognize is that in the individual insurance market, maintaining affordability requires you have a mix of members in that insurance pool. You need people who need health care today, tomorrow, and in the future. And where we stand now, because of some of the special enrollment periods, is we have a mix and balance. We have more people who need health care today and fewer who are making a decision to purchase the insurance before they actually need the health care.
Could what happened today be the biggest threat and the biggest hit of all to the healthcare law? I mean, United Health is so big and so powerful, it has to be hurting the other guys, too.
Well, I think we have to keep it all in perspective. The reality is it is better for people to have insurance than to not have insurance. The debate is how do we do it and how do we structure it in a way that we maintain affordability. For the people who participated in Medicaid expansion, there's 7 million of them. They have no out-of-pocket, no expense. It's been a big win, but it's been a Medicaid expansion. For individuals who purchase and families who purchase through the exchanges, we need to find better ways to make certain that it's an affordable product. I don't think it's the end of the exchanges. I don't think it's the biggest thing we'll see. The health plans will look at their cost and they will price their product to reflect the cost.
But it is a blow. I mean, $500 million for the biggest health insurer on a loss just from these exchanges next year. that's not going to be good for the healthcare law, which needs these companies.
Well, I would agree, and I think what we'll see is each plan will look at their costs. They will take whatever write-off is necessary, and they will price those plans. The question is, what kind of regulatory pushback will they get, and will they be asked to go forward with premiums that are not actuarially supportable? If that happens, then the plans will not participate, would be my judgment.
Yeah, so that worked out fine, didn't it?
Well, all the co-ops, with the exception of maybe one or two, have all folded.
Oh, the co-ops were out earlier. Oh, yeah, they're gone.
Well, there's still a couple of hanging.
But they're out of. They are actually out of business. Some of them have closed.
No, they're out of business. They folded because it didn't work and they couldn't afford it. It just went out.
Now, let me ask you this: do you think
this whole thing is an outrageous scam?
Agreed. Question. Because that last bit there about the regulatory oversight, would they be allowed? I'm thinking. Now, this, of course, will be the next president probably when this takes place, I think. I have a feeling that United Health will be maybe seen as too big to fail or something, and they'll get some kind of pass on jacking up the rates
this is
more.
Just an extortion gimmick.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
Could be.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, John, by the way, we need to update Dvorak's law.
Why?
Well, there's
because of the sandwiches?
Yes, I would like a Curry amendment to Dvorak's law. I will read Dvorak's law. This came up, of course, in the best of for the funny show on Thanksgiving.
It's in the Urban Dictionary.
Dvorak's law. I quote verbatim: "The worse the economy, not only do the hookers get better looking, but they get cheaper." And then there's a little subscript here. Some postulate that additionally hookers get more business during a worse economy. However, Dvorak himself attributes this to supply and demand, which often leads to an increase in business, which is driven by the need to compensate for loss of revenue caused by the same reduction in cost stated in Dvorak's law. All, of course, continuously being proven true. But I would like a Curry amendment to Dvorak's law, if you don't mind me weaseling in on your action.
Well, it depends on the amendment.
The amendment...
I mean, if the amendment is Adam Curry's great,
well, you should just have that bumper sticker anyway. No. So based on the news out of Greece, where prostitution is legal, the price of sex has fallen from 50 euros to about $2, or the cost of a sandwich. But the amendment would be that the hookers also get younger. These are teenage prostitutes now, John.
Oh, well.
So better looking, price goes down, and the hookers get younger.
I'm not going to buy into that one completely. Because I think the hookers get older too.
And should we? I mean, can we?
I think the age range just expands as more people become hookers in the crappy economy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a reasonable point. You're saying that the scale expands on the young side and the old side.
Yeah.
Okay, then the amendment has been denied. What do you say that when it's struck down? My amendment has been downed.
Downed.
My amendment is downed, people. All right, then, let's go look at my favorite obsession, which I'm sure will keep going for the next couple of years. Migrants in Europe. Oh, boy. We're on the border between Greece and Macedonia, and we have our BBC man on the spot.
All these people are stranded now. I'm going to show you something which is quite disturbing, so you've been warned, look away.
All right, close your ears if you can't handle it.
You don't want to see it, but these people say they will not eat, they will not talk, and to prove their point, around a dozen have sewn up their mouths.
Have you seen this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand a word he said.
So they're protesting. They're not being allowed into Macedonia because they are not Syrian or, I guess, Syrians and Iraqis. I don't think anyone else is allowed to apply. A lot of Iranians. So they're sitting there. They have sewn their mouths shut.
What?
Yeah. It's disturbing. Yeah.
Why?
A protest. So they can't
protest
eat.
To what?
That they're not being allowed past the border into Macedonia to continue their voyage into, I guess, Germany.
Huh.
Yeah. So they're sewing their mouths shut. It's an old tactic, but I think it's always effective.
Well, it's always disgusting.
And effective.
All right. Well, that was a nice depressing piece. Good.
I got plenty more. Oh, we finally did get a very disturbing report from General John Campbell about the attack on the Doctors Without Borders hospital in Afghanistan.
Oh, we're finally getting to the bottom of it?
It was a big, big glitch.
Strike began at 2:08 a.m. At 2:20 a.m., a SOF officer at Bagram received a call from MSF advising that their facility was under attack. It took the headquarters and the U.S. Special Operations Commander until 2:37 a.m. to realize a fatal mistake. At that time, the AC-130 had already ceased firing. The strike lasted for approximately 29 minutes. This is an example of human and process error. The investigation found that the strike resulted in the death of 30 staff, patient, and assistants, and the injury of 37 others. U.S. Forces Afghanistan is currently working hand-in-hand with MSF to identify the injured and the families of those who lost loved ones in order that we may offer appropriate condolences.
Send a card to the right address.
Based upon the information learned during the investigation, the report determined that the proximate cause of this tragedy was the direct result of avoidable human error, compounded by process and equipment failures. In addition, the report found that fatigue and a high operational tempo contributed to this tragedy. It also identified failures in systems and processes that, while not the cause of the strike on the MSF Trauma Center, contributed to the incident. These included the loss of electronic communication systems on the aircraft.
What kind of outfit are we running? Hey, the radio.
That's book. And by the way, if you remember the early reports, one of the guys on the plane said, "Hey, we're not supposed to be shooting at that thing."
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, shoot.
Radio's not working.
The nature of the planning and approval process employed during operations in Kunduz City, and the lack of a single system to vet proposed targets against a no-strike list. We have reviewed each of these failures and implemented corrections as appropriate. We have learned from this terrible incident.
No.
We'll also take appropriate administrative and disciplinary action through a process.
Wait a minute.
Why would there, stop.
Exactly. Why disciplinary action if it was all a glitch?
Why disciplinary action if it was a glitch?
A glitch.
That is fair.
He should have just said it was a glitch, and everyone would be, oh, okay, gotcha. All right, let's go home, boys. Pack it up.
There should be no disciplinary action.
And thoroughly
what he says is true, which is bullcrap.
Considers the available evidence. The cornerstone of our military justice system is the independence of decision makers following a thorough investigation such as this one.
You know, something just hit me. Someone told me that JAG lawyers are infiltrated everywhere throughout the entire U.S. court system. Did you hear about this?
No, sounds like a conspiracy.
It is. And the JAG lawyers are always going to obviously help the armed forces, but they're spread out now throughout the entire criminal justice system in the United States.
Well, I don't buy the argument that they will always do something or not do something.
Okay. Good point.
Unless they're still being paid by the Navy. And I'll tell you why. Because when I was an air pollution inspector, having come from the oil refining business, I had no problem being harsh on the oil refiners. It was, it's just a revolving door. You worked for an oil company. Now you're inspecting them.
Right.
That's corruption. No, it's not true. It's not the way you operate. The way normal people operate. A JAG lawyer, if he was in the Navy, is pro-military. He have a military background, and then he's now a civilian, and he happens to be an ex-JAG lawyer. He's not going to. He may go just the opposite. I mean, if you talk, for example, about like Navy captains, everybody knows that into all these smaller ships, these little boats and oilers and things like that, they're all a-holes. And everybody in the Navy knows it. If you got out of the Navy and you had a chance to get back at one of these clowns, you would do it. So I'm not buying it.
Okay. It's just something that hit me.
Yeah.
And I learned something. Did you learn anything hanging out with the millennials over Thanksgiving?
I was with my wife.
Oh, I thought the millennials were there.
No. They were down here eating dinner. I mean, that's why we had to distribute all the information about the turkey.
Oh, okay. Well, I learned something from one of the Keepers millennials. I learned a new word.
Did you give me that word a little earlier?
Well, no, I'm going to give you the word now. Then it ties into something your millennials identified earlier. It is related.
Yeah.
It is trypophobia.
Never heard of it. About tripe?
Trypophobia. And this is a real thing. I saw it before my eyes.
About tripe?
T-R-Y-P. Trypophobia.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that is.
Trypophobia is the fear of objects with small holes.
What?
Yeah, I know. Fear of objects with small holes. So, and a honeycomb is one. Coral reef is another. A tree trunk that a woodpecker's been at. Could even be, a pancake with holes in it. A strawberry, small holes. Golf ball. The inside of a cantaloupe. These kids are fucked.
Well, let's take a look at how fucked they are. I have a couple clips.
Please, they're listening, so let's hit it.
All right, let's start with Sherry Turkle's new book about conversation and discuss cell phones and how they are affecting the way people have conversations. And I'm not a big fan of Sherry Turkle normally.
Who is she? Who is
she's
she?
an MIT professor who always writes about technology from a professor's perspective. She's never been in the valley. She's not a technologist. But I have to say this new book is interesting. Let's play. I got 3 little clips. Let's start with Sherry Turkle, Phone at Lunch 1.
You see a very specific problem, a loss of empathy, of our ability to empathize with others. Explain that.
Well, it's very typical that when 2 people are having lunch, they put a phone on the table between them. Mm-hmm. And all the research shows that the presence of that phone will do 2 things to the conversation. It will make the conversation go to trivial matters, and it will decrease the amount of empathy that the 2 people in the conversation feel toward each other. That phone is a signal that either of us can put our attention elsewhere.
Even if we don't look at it.
Even a silent phone disconnects us.
Really?
Well, I'm buying into this, and I kind of like what she's up to here. I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, but she's got some documentation. Let's play Phone at Lunch 2.
There's a 40% decline in all markers for empathy among college students, with most of it taking place in the past 10 years. That's not okay. Mm-hmm. So even if, our phones do play to our natural nervousness about being vulnerable to each other, but that doesn't mean that we can't pull ourselves together and say we need to talk to each other, because it's in conversation the most human and humanizing thing that we do, that empathy is born, that intimacy is born, that relationship is born.
So she's making these points, and then she wraps it up with the stats final.
But somehow not take it seriously. In the latest Pew study, 89% of Americans said that they interrupted their last social encounter by looking at a phone. And 82% of them said that it deteriorated the conversation. Mm-hmm. So my favorite line in my book, kind of author's choice, is technology makes us forget what we know about life. We know we're doing something that's not good. You put your hand up in somebody's face and say, excuse me, I just need to interrupt this conversation for a moment, and yet we do it anyway.
Well, I was thinking about this because when I have the millennials over, they're always doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You're having dinner, you're talking about something, and then somebody checks their phone, and then next thing you know, they're obsessed with the phone, they're fiddling around, and they write, okay, I'll call you later, or whatever they do. Mm-hmm. And it's a very common thing, and it does, I think, make things deteriorate. And I think it happens when you go out to lunch with somebody, and you're right, and she's right, you put the phone, people... I would say 15 years ago, before this empathy thing started ruining everything, if you went, it was always considered rude. Maybe it was 20 years ago. It was always considered rude to either have the phone on the it was just rude.
Well, 20 years ago, if you had a phone, you were a dick. Don't you remember that? It was like, what are you, important or something? Maybe it was a little longer than that. It was 25.
Maybe it was a little longer. Whatever. I do remember when it was rude to have the phone. The restaurants would get upset with you if you had one. Oh, you'd have to go outside to take a call, even though you'd interrupt a meal to do it. But this thing is a nightmarish little device, and it doesn't really unless you're a doctor on call. There was no reason to be constantly checking this phone. This began with the BlackBerry, and I never thought. Right. I always felt that remember people have Crackberry, they used to call it.
Yeah.
When the BlackBerry first came out, everyone had these. Anyone who had one was constantly checking it. Yeah. And if you were on an airplane with somebody who had,
that was really the first portable email machine that really worked.
Right, and people were checking it and checking it and checking it, and that was the beginning. And I always said, when people tried to copy it and try to make inroads with the popularity of the BlackBerry, I said, well, the mechanism isn't the same on these other smartphones or dumb phones or whatever they were, the flip phones. And so they could never catch what the BlackBerry had, which was this crazy addiction people had to it. But once Steve Jobs came along with the iPhone and it started taking the place of the BlackBerry, right. The BlackBerry's a dead product now. Everybody now has a smartphone, and everybody is completely addicted in an old BlackBerry-like sense, where they're constantly checking this device, and it just interrupts everything. And it used to be considered rude, but because everybody's addicted, nobody thinks it's rude anymore. So they have them. You bring the phone out, you put it on the table when you have lunch, and you check it every once in a while. You use it to look stuff up. Anyway, she's got a whole book about it. She thinks it's ruining us all.
I would agree. We have no.
You would. I figured.
We have no. We as a human species who still have tailbones have absolutely no idea how to handle this much information. We're not. We have not evolved yet to be able to equip it, which is why we naturally gravitate towards, like pictures, emojis. Yeah, exactly. And we all know what that eggplant is for. We all know what that emoji is for. Come on.
Now, continuing with the millennials.
Okay.
PBS Living at Home.
Oh, my goodness.
Not part 2, part 1.
Let me make sure I got part 1. It doesn't say part 1.
No.
Parents and plenty of 20 and 30-somethings are well aware that many young adults move back home these days after they finish school. But a new
and they're back on the payroll.
Analysis of census data out today from the Pew Research Center underlines the extent to which this is happening. It finds that 36% of women between the ages of 18 and 34 are living at home with parents or relatives. That is higher than at any time since 1940. An earlier analysis also found that nearly 43% of young men lived in a similar arrangement last year.
Yeah.
All right, we have that element going. And so if we play part 2, they always seem to overlook the one factor that I think is kind of part of the problem, but they brush past it.
By 36%, more than 36%, the biggest percentage we've seen since the Great Depression. What's behind this?
I would point to sort of 3 factors sort of for the long run sweep. It's the low point was about 1960, where about 24%. So it's been on the rise slowly, markedly picked up in the new century. 3 factors. Number 1, young adults are much less likely to be married than was the case 50, 60 years ago. When young couples get married, they don't live with their parents. So that delayed marriage has sort of reduced the incentive to leave the nest. Secondly, particularly among young women, many more of them are college students. While college enrollment by young women has gone up by about 5-fold since 1960. College students, if you think about community college students going to the local universities, much more likely to be living at home.
Maybe that's why the president proclaimed this coming week National Family Week.
Well, what's ignored by this is they discussed they said since the turn of the century, which was, of course, was the .com crash, and the economy's never recovered. We're in a depression. So no wonder this is going on, because they said since the Great Depression there haven't been anything like this. It is the depression, and it's the simplest explanation for the phenomenon. Well, and these kids can't, and there's no jobs to be had by anybody. It's a dependent group.
And I love bugs. We're all be eating them. Bugs. We will be eating them, people.
Bugs
taste like poop.
I have another oddball clip.
Okay.
Have you ever listened to Erdogan speak?
Yes.
He screams like Hitler.
Like Mussolini was more my thought, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Hitler, Mussolini, either one of them. But I just have this clip where they're translating it, but in the background you can hear him, and he screams his speeches.
Pazartesi günü Paris'te. On Monday, there will be a meeting in Paris. I believe Mr. Putin will be there attending. I would like to meet him there and maybe talk about this in a reasonable way. We are very disturbed by the fact that this issue got escalated needlessly. There is a big potential for cooperation between the two countries, and we do not want this issue to hurt our current or potential relations.
Putin's foreign affairs advisor said the Kremlin had received the meeting request, but wouldn't say if it was possible.
Freedom! Subjugation is liberation! Contradiction is truth! Those are the facts of this world! And you will all surrender to them! You pigs in human clothing!
All right. So let's just call it, John. When will we have someone just say, this is World War III, we're screwed, this is not good? I mean, you have a date?
Well, I think it's already past the date. I think we've been calling World War III for a while.
Yeah, but someone has to call it.
I think a bunch of people have called it.
Yeah, but not of presidential level or prime minister level or anything. Do you think that
they're
will
not
happen?
going to call it?
Not going to call it?
No, because what they're going to do is they're going to beat around the bush about it. I think it's going to. I think the date would only be determined by one bomb being dropped somewhere by someone and blowing up a whole area.
Yeah, or my original thesis, which would be to blow up a nuclear reactor.
Yeah, that would be kind of okay. I really expect. I would like to see a bomb.
Great, I'm so happy. Yeah, it'd be fun. Let's see a bomb.
We have to talk about the Project Hornet's Nest and the whole ISIS and versus Israel thing, because it's getting more and more.
Well, what do you have a summary on what Project Hornet's Nest is?
Supposedly, according to one source, a European source, it was part of the information that was held back by The Guardian and the New York Times, that the whole ISIS thing is...
this was Snowden documents, right?
Documents saying that this was Project Hornet's Nest, and it was designed by the Israeli and American intelligence, which is what everybody thinks.
So here's the rundown.
Middle East.
Here's the rundown. I've got it here. This is according to documents that we have not seen, which would have been withheld, Snowden documents, which are usually PowerPoints. ISIS leader al-Baghdadi was once a super high-level prisoner of the U.S. government, despite the fact that the U.S. had offered a $10 million reward for him. The Obama regime ordered his release in 2009, which I think is verifiable. The Obama regime, with major support from Senate neocons John McCain and Lindsey Graham, have given hundreds of millions of dollars of military aid to Sunni jihadists in Syria. We've actually seen the meetings. ISIS posted pictures of al-Baghdadi and other fighters meeting with John McCain. Completely ignored these pictures by mainstream media. Israel has directly aided Sunni jihadists in Syria by bombing Syrian military assets. True. Israeli Prime Minister has reacted to the ISIS spearhead Sunni-Shia civil war in Iraq with borderline glee. The U.S. and Britain have provided Sunni jihadists with Toyota trucks, yes, through the State Department. When an army of ISIS fighters rolled over the Syrian-Iraqi border, it looked like a commercial, of course, for Toyota. So we would need to get a hand on. Why has WikiLeaks not come out with these yet? Do they have copies of
I don't know.
these Snowden documents?
Around. I have no idea. I don't think so. But I mean, this falls into place with the memo that came out that we discussed on the show, saying that this needs to happen. Yeah. We need to create this this situation. And what really stands out like a sore thumb is that these guys aren't shaking their fists at Israel.
No, there's nothing ever happens.
Almost all these operations. Oh, Israel's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. And
but they never do anything in Israel. Yeah,
they don't do this. They're not shaking their fists at anybody except us.
Let us review. For me, it appears. Well, first of all, question for you: if Daesh, which is now the hip term, we've been following this for 2 years, but is now the hip term to call ISIS, ISIL, IS, call them Daesh, because they hate it so much. Right? Have I heard this correctly?
That was one argument. There's another argument.
Well, but when the president or the vice president or the secretary of state keeps referring to them as Daesh, isn't that the same as, did anyone in World War II of that presidential nature or stature say, the Krauts, the Huns, the Japs? Did we say any of that?
The Japs was used quite a bit.
But I think it's inappropriate.
Krauts was a very low-end thing.
But it seems inappropriate if you know that this is only going to make them mad, which is what I've understood. Why would you keep doing that?
The right wing would argue that the president has gone out of his way not to mention Islam, Islamists. They make a big stink about this. He won't say Islamists or Islam.
Ragheads, towelheads.
He won't say, no, it's just Islam. He won't use the word Islam in any of his complaints. And ISIL incorporates the word Islam. And so somebody said, well, what are you going to do about that? And so he said, well, we're going to change it to Daesh. That would be a conspiracy right-wing thing because for various reasons, Obama will not condemn the Islamists under any circumstance using the word Islam.
Right.
I don't know. I have no idea why they've changed it to Daesh, but this whole thing is some sort of we're being scammed as a public, which is, I think we've concluded. And if you look at in fact, I'll run one. I've got a cartoon. I'll run it in the next newsletter.
Okay.
Please subscribe. And it's a cartoon from the Middle East showing. It's classic. Everybody believes this in the Middle East. They all think that this ISIS group is financed by and controlled by us, the United States. And his cartoon clearly shows like an American, an Uncle Sam with a puppet, and the puppet is the ISIL guy scaring all the other Arabs. And it's all bullcrap. I mean, that's what they believe, and there's some evidence that they may be correct. The man on the street in the Middle East. If you ask one, you'd hear this argument. We're the only show that discusses
it. It clearly has become a quagmire because we know that our CIA and DOD groups are there. They're being attacked by Russia. Meanwhile, Israel's sitting around getting a free ride there in the Middle East.
Yeah, they don't have to do much. But no, the Russians must be in on this idea because they're doing this just to irk us. The Russians that got screwed on this Ukraine thing.
There was one other thing that happened just before I think it was just before the Russian jet got downed. There was an attack on the grid in Crimea. Did you see this? It was really underreported. Yeah, all the power. There was I don't know if it was an air drop bomb or some other form of IED, but it blew out all power on Crimea.
I haven't heard this.
No. But it's kind of what you want to do. That's how you send a message. So I don't know if that came before. It's hard to find the timeline. I don't know if it came before the jet or after. Regardless, messages being sent, and I think well received.
Well, this is a lot of back and forth that's unnecessary. I mean, this is part of that 7 countries in 5 years thing.
Yeah, the West Clark 7.
I mean, this is the Kagans and the Victoria Nulands and these people. They have to be stopped. They're dangerous.
Well,
they're putting us all at risk.
Nuland is going. Yes, you're right. Nuland is going to Turkey. So you know what that means.
Rubelization follows.
That's right. It always does.
Regime change.
Rubelization always follows Victoria Nuland, Kagan. All righty.
Okay, that's an uplifting little ending here to show 777.